Chapter 241. The sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect was definitely one of the most powerful figures in the entire Eastern Wilderness. Although the Hunyuan Heaven sect still had a few saint experts, they spent most of their time on cultivation. Some of them were even thinking of ways to go to the Heaven Wasteland domain and create a broader future for themselves, so they had no time to care about other things. Under such circumstances, the power of the Hunyuan Heaven sect master could be said to be vast and mighty. To be personally received by such a person who stood at the pinnacle of the Eastern Wilderness cultivation world was sufficient proof that after many years of growth, Tsing Hui had already reached the pinnacle of the Eastern Wilderness cultivation world. Although he was currently at the bottom of the pinnacle, he firmly believed that one day, he would also be able to stand at the pinnacle of the Eastern Wilderness and enjoy its scenery. Sect Master, Alliance Master Tsing Hui has arrived. As Yuzhen led the way, a magnificent and majestic reception hall filled with a sacred atmosphere appeared before their eyes. In addition to the Hunyuan Heaven sect masters Wu Kunlun, there were more than a dozen hall masters in the reception hall. In addition, there were two grand elders who were personally accompanying them. They were Yuan He and Qin Zhen. The two had originally planned to go to the Jin Wu religion to provide assistance, but not long ago, they heard that the Jin Wu religion wanted to send their saintess Lai Wuyang to the Hunyuan Heaven sect through marriage. They were no longer in a hurry and patiently waited. In addition, sect masters Wu Kunlun held the Alliance Master of the Life Alliance in high regard, so the two of them also attended the welcome banquet out of curiosity, which raised the scale of the banquet to a whole new level. In addition to the two grand elders, only Nailan Fei, who was at the spirit and qi unification stage, also attracted Tsing Hui's attention. He did not expect Nailan Fei to attend the banquet. Greetings, Sect Master. Under Yuzhen's lead, Tsing Hui and the others stood in the middle of the hall and bowed slightly to Zhuo Kunlun at the head seat. Ha ha ha, Alliance Master Tsing Hui has traveled thousands of miles to come here. It must have been a tiring journey. Please take a seat. There was a faint smile on Zhuo Kunlun's face. He gestured with his hand and a disciple came forward to bring Tsing Hui and the others to a seat at the side. Tsing Hui was second only to the two highest elders and Zhuo Kunlun. Below him was Lord Zhenhai, who was at the late stage of the Green Realm. As for the Moon Lake Master, Ten Sha of Gojoseon, and Zuyuo Holy Mother, they were slightly inferior and were added to the middle seats. From the arrangement of the seats, it could be seen that Zhuo Kunlun valued Tsing Hui greatly. With Alliance leader Tsing Hui joining our Hunyuan Heaven sect, we will be like a tiger that has grown wings. Although Alliance leader Tsing Hui joined our Hunyuan Heaven sect by joining Nailan's Qinglan Peak, given Alliance leader Tsing Hui's qualifications and cultivation, if he doesn't hold any position in our Hunyuan Heaven sect, I'm afraid our Hunyuan Heaven sect will be laughed at by the world. Therefore, after discussing with the elders, we have decided to establish a new hall in our Hunyuan Heaven sect, called the Sea Calming Hall, to resist overseas threats. Sea Calming Hall. Tsing Hui secretly exchanged a glance with Nailan Fei. Both of them could guess Zhuo Kunlun's plan. Yes, the Sea Calming Hall. My original intention was to appoint Alliance leader Tsing Hui as the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. However, considering that Alliance leader Tsing Hui came to join Nailan, I can't overstep my authority and make Alliance leader Tsing Hui the master of the Sea Calming Hall. Therefore, Alliance leader Tsing Hui will temporarily be appointed as the deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. What do you think? Nailan Fei immediately guessed that the Hunyuan Heavenly sect wanted to use her to control the Life Moon Alliance. She was the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Once the Hunyuan Heavenly sect assigned a task, if the Life Moon Alliance failed, the Hunyuan Heavenly sect would hold her responsible. On the other hand, if Tsing Hui was the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall, if the Hunyuan Heavenly sect wanted to punish him for failing a task, Tsing Hui could just resign from the position and continue to wander overseas. With the many sea beasts forming a natural barrier, even if the Hunyuan Heavenly sect was dissatisfied with him, they would not dare to send troops to suppress him. Nailan Fei, who did not want Tsing Hui to be controlled by others, was about to stand up and refuse when Tsing Hui cupped his hands together and said, I am indebted to Sect Master's trust. I am willing to be the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall and guard the outer seas for the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect against the invasion of the sea beasts. Good. Zhuo Kunlun was also very happy to hear Tsing Hui agree so quickly. It was a pleasant surprise for the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect to obtain such a powerful overseas force for no reason. In particular, Lord Jinhai and Cho Tsing Hui, who could subdue Lord Jinhai, could be used as prominent saint stage experts at critical moments. Even if the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect was stronger than the Green Lotus Sword Sect, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range and the other sacred sects, the addition of 2 Supreme Elders would still allow the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's power to soar. Since Hall Master Tsing Hui is so straightforward, as the Sect Master, I naturally can't disappoint Hall Master. The Hall Masters in the Hall are in charge of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's resources, cultivation methods, and treasures. If Hall Master Tsing Hui needs anything, feel free to ask the Hall Masters in the name of the Hall Master. In addition, every 10 years, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect will allocate 3,000 spirit crystals worth of resources to the Sea Calming Hall to strengthen the reputation of the Sea Calming Hall. 3,000 spirit crystals. Nayland Fei frowned slightly. Compared to spirit stones, the price of spiritual crystals was naturally much higher. Usually, 20,000 spirit stones could only be exchanged for 1 spiritual crystal. 3,000 spiritual crystals were equivalent to 60 million spirit stones. On the other hand, level 5 divine weapons on the market were around 10 million spirit stones. 3,000 spiritual crystals were equivalent to 6 level 5 divine weapons. In 100 years, the number of level 5 divine weapons accumulated would reach 50. It seemed like a lot, but the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect was not an ordinary force. As a member of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, the Elders and Hall Masters were often equipped with divine weapons that were 1 rank higher than their cultivation. Simply put, Spirit Refining Experts used rank 4 divine weapons, Spirit Chi Uniting Experts used rank 5 divine weapons, and Green Underworld Realm Hall Masters used rank 6 divine weapons. With so many Green Underworld Realm experts in the Sea Calming Hall, it would take at least 500 years for everyone to be equipped with a rank 6 divine weapon. And this was only a single weapon. If armor and flying swords were included, 5,000 years would not be enough. Sect Master, the Sea Calming Hall has just been built, and there are many things waiting to be done. It is time to develop. However, the 3,000 spirit crystals allocated are not enough. These spirit crystals are estimated to not even be enough to exchange for a rank 6 divine weapon in 10 years. Nayland Fei stood up. Since she had already become the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, she naturally had to fight for the Sea Calming Hall. And, what you said makes sense. We can't let a Hall Master of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect not have a divine weapon. Nayland, as the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, I will bestow upon you a high-grade rank 6 divine weapon. As for Tsing Hui, I will bestow upon you a mid-grade rank 6 divine weapon. I hope that you will develop the overseas region well and help our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect resist the overseas threat. A high-grade rank 6 divine weapon and a mid-grade rank 6 divine weapon were worth around 80,000 to 30,000 spirit crystals on the market. It was definitely a generous gift. An ordinary palace of the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect would only receive 10 to 20,000 spirit crystals in 10 years. But one must not forget that this was a one-time gift. Compared to the resources allocated once every 10 years, it could not be compared at all. Nayland Fei was about to say something, but Tsing Hui had already cupped his hands in acknowledgement. Thank you, Sect Master, for your reward. The Sea Calming Hall will definitely guard the overseas region well for the sect. Good. A smile appeared on Zhuo Kunlun's face again when he heard Tsing Hui's acknowledgement. He originally thought that he would have to pay more to make the Alliance Master of the Life Alliance settle down, but who would have thought that 2 rank 6 divine weapons would solve the problem? He immediately said, this period of time is both Nayland's peak founding assembly and our Hunyuan Heavenly Sect's hall building assembly. It can be said to be a double blessing. The entire sect should celebrate together. Pass down the order that the restrictions on the 36 peaks will be lifted for this month. Any disciple can enter the 36 peaks to choose divine weapons, trade resources, learn cultivation techniques, and do whatever they want. Sect master is wise. Hearing Zhuo Kunlun's words, everyone hurriedly stood up and cupped their hands in acknowledgement. The Hunyuan heavenly sect had outer sect disciples, official disciples, and true disciples. Outer sect disciples did not even have the qualifications to enter the 36 peaks to buy divine weapons or read cultivation technique manuals. Only when they made contributions would they be allowed to enter the 36 peaks to learn. After all, many of these resources were prohibited by the Hunyuan heavenly sect, such as spirit crystals, which were rarely circulated on the market. Now that the 36 peaks were open, as long as the disciples had money, they could exchange for as many resources as they wanted. There was no lack of prohibited items such as spirit crystals. As long as they could exchange for some spirit crystals and resell them in the outside world, they would immediately make double the profit. This was the reason why Zhuo Kunlun was so happy to open the 36 peaks. Come, a feast. After the feast, Nailan Fei, who was heading towards Qinglan Peak, found Xing Hui and complained, "Xing Hui, the sect master gave us 2 divine weapons. Although it seems to be very valuable, it is in fact far less cost-effective than the resources allocated every year. As far as I know, every palace in the Hunyuan heavenly sect receives more than 10,000 spirit crystals each time. In some important palaces, the value of resources allocated each time exceeds 100,000 spirit crystals. One resource allocation is enough to buy us 2 divine weapons. These resources are distributed once every 10 years. Perhaps we can fight for the Sea Suppressing Hall to receive 10 to 20,000 spirit crystals each time, but to me, the significance of these resources is not as good as these 2 divine weapons." Why? Chapter 242. Qinglan Peak has just been established, so you must have a lot of important things to do. Go ahead, I'll go to the Golden Treasury Hall and the Operation Hall. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he turned to Lord Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Master, and the others behind him and said, "Follow Hall Master Narang." Yes. Lord Zhenhai and the others answered one by one. You're now the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Hall. You can go anywhere in the Hunyuan Heaven sect except for those forbidden places. I don't need to send someone to lead the way for you. Xing Hui smiled slightly. The Hunyuan Heaven sect was different from the Jin Wu religion, the Create Evolved Mysterious sect, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, and the Pharaoh sect. Many departments of the Hunyuan Heaven sect were concentrated in the outer 36 peaks, the middle 36 peaks, and the inner 36 peaks. There were a total of 108 peaks. Among them, the outer 36 peaks were open to the public. Not only outer court disciples, even some peddlers could travel between the 36 peaks. The 36 peaks also had some basic functions. However, because the 36 peaks were mainly for ordinary cultivators who had yet to enter the awakening realm and those who had yet to gain the trust of the sect, the functions of these peaks were quite simple. The Golden Palace Hall, Operation Palace Hall, and Bounty Palace Hall only established branches on these peaks. At most, they would send a true Qi realm or spirit refining realm deacon to oversee them. Even elders would not be sent out. The middle 36 peaks were the real core function area of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The hundreds of departments and palaces of the Hunyuan Heaven sect were all built on the middle 36 peaks. The peak where Zhuo Kunlun had just invited Xing Hui and the people of the Life League to a banquet was also one of the middle 36 peaks. Even the small peaks built by many peak master disciples were built around the middle 36 peaks. As for the inner 36 peaks, those who lived on these peaks were, without exception, supreme elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the core existence of the saint stage. Even the hall master and deputy hall masters like Xing Hui could not rashly go there if there was no important matter. The Golden Repository Hall and Operation Hall that Qing Su wanted to go to were both on the 36th peak, and they belonged to the same peak. After getting his bearings slightly, Qing Su leapt up and shot through the air on his sword, heading straight for a mountain less than 50 kilometers away. Standing in the air, he could clearly see the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect. As one of the top sects of the 10 great sacred sects, the Hunyuan Heaven sect's atmosphere was far from what the Life Moon Alliance could compare to. Many disciples, deacons, stewards, and elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect went in and out in an orderly manner. Everyone performed their duties in an orderly manner. Moreover, the entire mountain gate occupied the spiritual veins of heaven and earth, and was blessed by the heavens. The environment was pleasant, and the vital energy was rich. Looking down, it was filled with the atmosphere of an immortal. Even from high up in the sky, Xing Hui could sense the Hunyuan Heaven sect's wealth. Not to mention the many magnificent buildings, just the hundreds of thousands of disciples and deacons wielding divine weapons could be said to be an astronomical figure. Coupled with the various spirit pools and facilities, if the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect was valued, their mountain gate alone would be worth hundreds of millions of spirit crystals. Even if I can really unify the outer seas, it will take decades or even centuries for the Life-Moon Alliance to develop to this level. If I want to reach the same level as the Hunyuan Heaven sect, I will only have a glimmer of hope if I include the entire outer seas in my sphere of influence. Xing Hui sighed. Compared to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, which had a deep foundation, the Life-Moon Alliance was like a nouveau riche even though it had developed well during this period of time. After looking for a moment, Xing Hui lowered his sword and quickly landed in front of the Golden Treasury Hall. In the Hunyuan Heaven sect, those who could fly on a sword were either core disciples that were highly regarded or elders with considerable authority. Therefore, as soon as Xing Hui arrived, a pure and lovely female disciple in white immediately came up to the entrance of the Golden Treasury Hall. She sized up Xing Hui for a moment before she said, "Senior brother, are you here to exchange for resources? If you need, can junior sister Yang Yuyu guide you?" The Hunyuan Heaven sect's many palaces also had sales records. The Golden Treasury Hall was, in fact, equivalent to the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Chamber of Commerce. It was just that this Chamber of Commerce only sold resources to people of status in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. It was because of this that Yang Yuyu enthusiastically came forward to welcome Xing Hui. "Okay, I'm here to exchange for a Spirit Essence Core." Spirit Essence Core. Yang Yuyu was slightly startled, but she still gestured with her hand, "Senior brother, please follow me. We naturally have Spirit Pith Cores in Hidden Golden Hall, but only those who are ranked in the top 100 among the core disciples or have the status of an elder are qualified to purchase it. I wonder if junior sister can inspect senior brother's identity token." Xing Hui directly handed the identity token that Yuzhen had brought over to Yang Yuyu. Yang Yuyu checked it, and when she found out that the young-looking man in front of her was actually a deputy hall master, she hurriedly bowed. "I'm sorry. I didn't know it was Hall Master Xing Hui and was disrespectful. I hope Hall Master Xing Hui will forgive me. I'll bring Hall Master Xing Hui to the VIP lounge and ask our hall steward to personally receive you. There's no need for that. Just give me a Spirit Essence Core." "Yes, Hall Master. Do you want to exchange sect contribution points for a Spirit Essence Core or Spirit Crystals? How much will Spirit Crystals cost?" The Spirit Essence Core has the effect of purifying one's chi, and it's also very effective in purifying one's chi. It's not cheap. If you use Spirit Crystals, it'll cost 30,000 Spirit Crystals. Is a grade 6 intermediate divine weapon enough? Xing Hui directly took out a divine weapon. "It's enough. I'll get the Spirit Essence Core for you, Hall Master." Yang Yuyu took the divine weapon and quickly retreated. However, when they returned a moment later, two people had already arrived. She was accompanied by a man who was in his 30s and had a cultivation base at the middle stage of the Green Netherworld realm. When the man saw Xing Hui, he immediately cupped his hands and said, "So it's Alliance Master Xing Hui. Oh, it should be Hall Master Xing Hui now. I'm Hall Master Xing Hui's Deputy Hall Master, Tong Gui." "Greetings, Hall Master Xing Hui." Earlier, the disciples in the hall didn't know better and miscalculated the price. Hall Masters like Hall Master Xing Hui usually get a 30% discount when they exchange for resources in the Golden Repository Hall. After he finished speaking, the man took a jade plate from Yang Yuyu. There were 90 pieces of excellent quality spiritual crystals and a Spirit Essence Core on it. These are the spiritual crystals for the grade 6 intermediate divine weapon, Hall Master Xing Hui, and the Spirit Essence Core that Hall Master Xing Hui wants to exchange for. Hall Master Tsing Hui, please check. Tsing Hui glanced at the spirit essence core with a smile on his face. Wen Hui had already brought the sword jade and was rushing to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. He had obtained the dragon root from the Blood Dragon King by chance. Now that he had obtained the spirit essence core, he had all the ingredients for the roaming dragon blood dissipation elixir. With the roaming dragon blood dissipation elixir, he just had to devote some energy to studying the method of transforming his vital energy into virtual energy. When he reached the initial stage of the method of transforming his vital energy into virtual energy, he would be able to consume the torch dragon's blood. At that time, his strength would increase tremendously. It wouldn't be difficult for him to reach the peak of the green netherworld realm. Compared to the spirit quintessence, the 90 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual crystals were nothing. However, the 90 pieces of spiritual crystals were ultimately Tong Gui's goodwill. Just like primordial stones, although the exchange rate between high and supreme-grade spiritual crystals was 10:1, if one really wanted to exchange them, one would often have to offer an exchange rate of 11:1 or even 12:1. If 90 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual crystals were exchanged for ordinary spiritual crystals, it wouldn't be difficult to exchange them for 10,000 spiritual crystals, let alone 10,000 spiritual crystals. Thank you, Hall Master Tong Gui. Ha, you're welcome, Hall Master Tsing Hui. I heard that the overseas region is rich in resources. I only hope that if Hall Master Tsing Hui has any special resources in the future, Hall Master Tong Gui will first hand them over to Golden Repository Hall so that we can sell them on your behalf. Tsing Hui pondered for a moment. There was indeed a need for channels to buy and sell precious resources overseas. He immediately said, if Hall Master Tong Gui is willing, why don't you send someone to the Life Alliance, to set up a branch hall in the Sea Suppressing Hall? A look of joy immediately appeared on Tong Gui's face. Thank you, Hall Master Tsing Hui. Golden Repository Hall is more than happy to set up a branch hall in the Sea Suppressing Hall. Tong Gui had heard that the Life Moon Alliance had more than a dozen Qingming experts and more than 100 Spirit and Qi Unity experts. As for the Spirit Refining, True Qi, and Awakening experts, they numbered in the tens of thousands. Such a force had been incorporated into a palace by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but who would dare to treat it as an ordinary palace? If Golden Repository Hall could establish a good relationship with the Sea Suppressing Hall, the potential benefits they could obtain in the future would definitely not be small. After bidding farewell to Golden Repository Hall's Deputy Hall Master Tong Gui, Tsing Hui once again flew on his sword and headed towards the Operations Hall, which was less than 3 kilometers away from Tong Gui Hall. The Operations Hall didn't transfer resources, but manpower. Simply put, the Operations Hall was responsible for transferring personnel and positions in the sect. Tsing Hui landed at the entrance of the Operations Hall and said to a disciple at the entrance, Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Hall, Tsing Hui, requests to see the Operations Hall Master. I have an elder-level personnel transfer that I need your help with. The disciple did not dare to delay when he heard Tsing Hui call himself Hall Master. He hurriedly said, Hall Master Tsing Hui, please wait inside for a moment. I'll inform our Hall Master to come over. Thank you. As Qing Su said that, he followed the disciple to the guest room of the Circulation Hall. The Operations Hall was responsible for the transfer of manpower and naturally had astonishing power. In the Hunyuan Heaven sect, it was second only to the Punishment Hall, Truth Repository Hall, Divine Martial Hall and other great halls. It was often a target that any deputy sect master would do their best to rope in. However, the several hall masters of the Operations Hall did not dare to be careless with Tsing Hui's visit. When Zhuo Kunlun was planning to build the Sea Calming Palace, he had already revealed the relevant information about the Life League to the upper echelons of the sect. Therefore, they knew very well how powerful the Sea Calming Palace, the predecessor of the Life League, was. Although the Sea Suppressing Hall was inferior to the Operations Hall, which held great authority in the sect, no one dared to offend a deputy hall master who could even subdue King Zhenhai. Less than half a cup of tea's time after Tsing Hui sat down, a deputy hall master came out to welcome him. Hall Master Tsing Hui, I've long heard of your great name. Today, I see that you're indeed extraordinary. I'm Lei Jing, and I'm the Deputy Hall Master of the Operations Hall. Hall Master Lei Jing. Qing Su clasped his hands. I've come this time because I want to ask Hall Master Lei Jing to lend a person to my sea-suppressing hall. Oh. May I know which elder has caught the eye of Hall Master Tsinghui? Li Hua Hall, Elder Jury. Chapter 243. Li Hua Hall's Elder Jury. Lei Jing was slightly stunned. Yes, Elder Jury. Qing Su smiled. Hall Master Lei Jing, you should understand that the overseas seas are not like the inland. We lack resources. If we want to recruit enough experts to strengthen the reputation of our sea-suppressing hall, we need to have something that we can offer. Fortunately, there are no precious resources in the overseas seas, but there are plenty of sea beasts and specialties. Elder Jury is skilled in alchemy, so the corpses and specialties of these sea beasts will definitely be able to turn something rotten into something miraculous in the hands of Elder Jury, turning them into peak pills. With these pills, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for our sea-suppressing hall to expand our influence and make all the islands in the overseas seas submit to us? This, Hall Master Lei Jing muttered to himself. Tsinghui was a ferocious figure who could even subdue Lord Jinhai. As for Lord Jinhai, in the past, he had once engaged in an intense battle with a Grand Elder of the Creation Evolution Profound sect. Even though he was defeated and fled in the end, the fact that he was able to fight a prominent Saint Stage Grand Elder of the Creation Evolution Profound sect without dying fully proved his strength. Lei Jing had to consider Tsinghui's request carefully. If Hall Master Lei Jing agrees to this, we will not refuse to lend any of our men to the sea-suppressing hall as long as it's not a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. Great! Lei Jing slammed the table heavily when he thought of Lord Jinhai's ferocious power. Then I will make a trip to Li Hua Hall on behalf of Alliance Master Tsinghui. Hall Master, please go to Qinglan Peak for a while. There will be news in 3 to 5 days. Thank you, Hall Master Lei Jing. Hall Master Tsinghui is too courteous. The allocation of manpower is the responsibility of the sea-suppressing hall. Lei Jing smiled and cupped his hands. Then I will wait for your good news at Qinglan Peak. Tsinghui bade farewell to Lei Jing and left the sea-suppressing hall. When Elder Jury found out that he was a high-level son of chaos, he hunted him down in every possible way, forcing him to flee overseas. Even when he was overseas, he was still anxious and worried that Yi Xuan would gang up with other experts to attack Dragon-Slaying Island. It was only until Yi Xuan's cultivation level gradually increased and he reached the realm of unity of spirit and qi that he put down his worries. However, the hatred between the two of them had already been formed. Since Elder Jury wanted to kill him and seize his primal chaos grade, he naturally wouldn't let the matter go. However, although it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Elder Jury with his current strength, he would undoubtedly offend the Hunyuan Heaven sect if he did so. After all, Elder Jury was different from the cannon fodder elders recruited by the Hunyuan Heaven sect. He had grown up as a disciple and had a deep foundation in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The death of such an elder was equivalent to declaring war on the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Unless the Life Moon Alliance grew to a level comparable to the 10 great sacred sects, they absolutely couldn't bear the consequences. Therefore, instead of killing Elder Jury with a sword, it was better to use his power as the Deputy Hall Master of the Calming Sea Hall to openly send Elder Jury to the Calming Sea Hall. The Calming Sea Hall was the Life Moon Alliance. When Elder Jury was in the Life Moon Alliance, wouldn't his death be under his control? Once Elder Jury is taken down, Erisher Yudo will be like a rootless duckweed with no one to rely on. Back then, you took advantage of my new arrival and sent Yuan Yang to kill me. Did you ever think that there would be such an ending today? Tsinghui muttered to himself. After a moment, he turned around again and flew towards Qinglan Peak on his sword. Qinglan Peak was, in fact, only one of the 36 peaks of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Compared to the other peak masters, it wasn't considered a small peak. With the Life Moon Alliance joining Qinglan Peak, the Hunyuan Heaven sect naturally didn't dare to treat Qinglan Peak as an ordinary peak master's true disciple. On the peak, there were 300 courtyards of various sizes and more than a dozen palaces. The courtyards were naturally for the servants and attendants to live in, while the palaces were the real core of Qinglan Peak. Although Naylan Fei had just established Qinglan Peak, she had already built up some forces during her time as a true disciple. In addition, the Weihai Kingdom behind Princess Lan Yu had completely surrendered to Naylan Fei. Young elites from the Weihai Kingdom were continuously sent from the Weihai Kingdom, making Qinglan Peak full of people. In addition to the Naylan family and the Zhuo family, there were currently thousands of people living in Qinglan Peak. The only thing was the cultivation level of the people living in Qinglan Peak was very low. If the Naylan family and the others who had recently fawned over them were excluded, let alone spirit refining cultivators, even true qi cultivators didn't reach more than 10. Xing Hui flew over on his sword and landed on the square at the top of Qinglan Peak. From his vantage point, he could see more than half of Qinglan Peak in front of his eyes. Naturally, he could see the construction of Qinglan Peak. Lord Xing Hui. It's really you. As Xing Hui looked down, a somewhat surprised voice sounded. Xing Hui turned his head and saw a graceful girl in blue walking over with a face full of joy. When she arrived in front of Xing Hui, she looked a little nervous and restrained. Greetings to the temple master. You're Lan Yu. True qi cultivator. Not bad. Qing Su studied the woman a few times and guessed her identity. He immediately smiled and said, that's right. It's all thanks to Lord's cultivation method and the cultivation resources senior sister Naylan gave me. If not for these, Lan Yu wouldn't have been able to cultivate true qi in just a few years. Xing Hui nodded and glanced at the people behind Lan Yu. These people were all from the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Heavenly Works Hall and were responsible for the construction of Qinglan Peak. Hearing Lan Yu called Xing Hui Temple Master, although these people didn't know which hall Xing Hui was the Temple Master, they still went up to greet him respectfully. Senior Sister Naylan asked a girl like you to supervise the construction of Qinglan Peak. Xing Hui was a little puzzled. In our Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Peak Master disciples have an extremely high degree of freedom and privacy. Once the peak is closed to the public, no one is allowed to go up the mountain except for the sect master and the supreme elder on duty. This is equivalent to a home that belongs completely to us. I'm grateful that Senior Sister Naylan trusts me and entrusted me with the task of building Qinglan Peak. I will do my best to help Senior Sister Naylan complete the checkpoint. Xing Hui glanced at Lan Yu and quickly guessed something. He immediately snorted, I'm afraid the Naylan family wants to take over this project. Before Princess Lan Yu could speak, a loud noise came from not far away. Not long after, a group of more than 10 people quickly came in their direction. Before they arrived, an old man with a spirit refining cultivation took the lead and shouted, Lan Yu, I already said that the Naylan family will take over the spirit tempering stones used to set up the feng shui pattern. Why do these people from the Heavenly Works Hall still transport the spirit tempering stones from the outside? Can you still do a good job as the overall director? If you can't do a good job, you can resign. Don't affect the construction of Qinglan Peak. Senior Sister, it's not that we don't want to use the spirit tempering stones they transport, but according to Senior Sister Naylan's requirements, the spirit tempering stones must be of high grade. Most of the spirit tempering stones they transport are low grade, and less than 10% of them are high grade. There are even 10 to 20% of them that are of inferior quality. If we really use these spirit tempering stones to set up the feng shui pattern, it won't meet Senior Sister Naylan's requirements. A middle-aged man wearing the robes of the Heavenly Works Hall who followed the old man said with a frown. Nonsense. Why can't the spirit tempering stones transported by our family be used? This is clearly because your skills are not up to par. There are hundreds of large and small construction teams in the Heavenly Works Hall. Since your team can't do it, then report it to the Heavenly Works Hall and let the Heavenly Works Hall change it. Our family's Naylan is a true disciple of the spirit and qi unification realm. She is only 40 years old and is expected to be the deputy lord in the future. How dare the Heavenly Works Hall treat us so perfunctorily? I will report you to the Heavenly Works Hall. The old man said with a face full of anger. Xing Hui knew what was going on as soon as he heard it. He didn't even bother to ask who the old man was. He directly said to Lan Yu, since Senior Sister Nalan already has a design plan, according to Senior Sister Nalan's design plan, let the construction team of the Heavenly Works Hall work at full speed. Why do you care about what others say? These people are Senior Sister Nalan's family after all. Even Senior Sister Nalan has a headache. Lan Yu said hesitantly. Xing Hui probably knew what Lan Yu was afraid of. He immediately said, in a while, I will ask Nalan to let my people be in charge. When the old man saw that Xing Hui seemed to be leaving the Nalan family aside, and that he looked quite young, he immediately shouted, Who are you? The construction of our Nalan family's Qinglan Peak doesn't need you to tell us what to do. Where is Senior Sister Nalan? Xing Hui didn't even look at the old man and asked directly. Senior Sister Nalan is receiving Lord Jinhai and the others in the main hall. The main hall? They don't need Senior Sister Nalan to receive them. After all, those people are famous overseas. Before Princess Lan Yu finished her words, the old man saw that Xing Hui turned a blind eye to him. He immediately became furious and said, Didn't you hear what I said to you just now? Are you deaf? How dare you be so arrogant on the Qinglan Peak of our Nalan family? Do you have any respect for our Nalan family? Do you have any respect for my niece? When Xing Hui heard the old man's noisy words, his face immediately turned cold. He shouted in the direction of the main hall not far from here, Sua Shao. The voice was low and the volume was not loud, but through the genuine qi, it resounded in the main hall in an instant. Suddenly, Sua Shao, who had always thought that Xing Hui's cultivation was mediocre, was shocked. Since Xing Hui killed the Blood Dragon King and showed his unparalleled strength, Sua Shao had been worried that Xing Hui might hold him responsible. He had been anxious all day long. Now that he heard Xing Hui's call, it seemed that there was something he needed to deal with himself. He immediately became spirited and rushed out of the main hall in an instant. He didn't even care about flying on his sword. He swept up the mighty wind and clouds and arrived at Xing Hui's side like lightning. When the Qingming realm powerhouse ran at full speed, the terrifying aura formed an impact that directly shocked Princess Lan Yu, the construction staff of the Tiangong Hall, and the old man of the Nalan family. They couldn't help but retreat. Sua Shao is here. Alliance Master, please give me your orders. From now on, the construction of Qinglan Peak will be supervised by you. If there is anyone who obstructs the construction, he will be severely punished. If he doesn't change, he will be killed. Yes, Master. Chapter 244. The aura emitted by a Qingming realm cultivator was terrifying, especially for someone like Sua Shao who lived overseas and fought with others all year round. His baleful aura swept the sky, scaring the Nalan family's spirit-refining realm cultivator to the point that his face turned pale. You, the elder pointed at Xing Hui. His face was full of fear as if he wanted to accuse him of something. Ha! However, before the old man could speak, Sua Zhao's gaze suddenly landed on him, and a suffocating pressure assaulted him. Immediately, the old man, who was already terrified to the extreme, felt as if a primordial ferocious beast's aura of death had swept over him, causing him to be unable to help but retreat repeatedly. He staggered and actually sat on the ground, unable to bear it any longer. You good for nothing. Sua Shao sneered coldly. The elder was so ashamed that he wished there was a hole in the ground for him to crawl into. The man in front of him was a Qingming realm cultivator, a core member of the Overlord of the Sea, the Life League. They only had a dozen spirit-refining realm cultivators. Although the Nalan family had cultivated a Peak Lord's true disciple, they didn't dare to argue with a Qingming realm cultivator. Therefore, even if Sua Shao reprimanded him, he still didn't dare to say a word. Xiao! 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 Sua Shao rushed over as quickly as he could. Naturally, the other elders and alliance masters of the Life Alliance followed closely behind him. At this moment, King Zhenhai, the master of the Moon Lake, and the Zhu Luo Divine Mother had already appeared before Qing Su. They bowed towards him politely. Greetings, Alliance Master. Xing Hui responded faintly. He then looked at Nalan Fei, who also came out of the hall, and said, "During this period of time, you are responsible for maintaining the order of Qinglan Peak. Although there are many things waiting to be done in Qinglan Peak, no one can humiliate it. Whoever dares to be presumptuous in Qinglan Peak will be severely punished." "Yes." Lord Zhenhai, Moon Lake Lord, and Holy Mother Zhu Luo responded at the same time. You are Cho Tsing Hui." At this time, the elders seemed to have recognized Tsing Hui's identity. He suddenly widened his eyes, especially when he saw Lord Zhenhai, Moon Lake Lord, Holy Mother Zhu Luo, and Ten Sha of Gojoseon, who were all high and mighty Qingming realm cultivators in his mind, respectfully and flatteringly in front of Cho Tsing Hui. He couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Tsing Hui. As soon as Nalan Fei arrived at the scene, she roughly knew what had happened. She immediately apologized. "I'm sorry, the people of the Nalan family are too narrow-minded. If they want to uproot the Life Alliance, they won't be able to do so unless they send 2 or 3 great elders. However, if they really do send 2 or 3 great elders, I'll make it so that none of them will be able to return. I believe any organization would feel heartache if I were to devour 2 or 3 prominent holiness experts in one go." Seeing that Tsing Hui was so confident, Nalan Fei nodded and did not say anything more. As a member of the Life League, Tsing Hui naturally knew more about the overseas than she did. She was just reminding him. "The peak assembly will begin in 3 days. You must have a lot of things to deal with now. If you don't have enough people, just instruct these elders and deacons of the Life League. Now that the Life League has surrendered to Qinglan Peak, you naturally have the right to command them as the Peak Master." Nalan Fei smiled slightly. The manpower of Qinglan Peak is indeed not enough. Originally, the people you brought were all great experts of the Spirit and Qi Unity realm. I was not confident enough to command them, but now that I have your assurance, I am relieved. With their help, the Peak Assembly in 3 days will definitely be held smoothly." Tsing Hui nodded. Just as Tsing Hui and Nalan Fei were about to say something, there was a burst of gongs and drums from the direction of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's welcoming peak. Guards of honor quickly spread out and drove dragon and tiger carriages to the 36 peaks outside the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Within the welcoming peak, there was a purple glow that filled the air, illuminating the void. On the summit of the welcoming peak, there were countless people activating magical techniques, causing a rain of petals to fall from the welcoming peak. These petals were not ordinary petals, but were composed of pure Yuan Qi. Anyone who absorbed and refined them would be able to increase their cultivation base. The effect of one petal was not necessarily inferior to that of an ordinary spirit stone. Purple Qi from the east, dragon and tiger carriages, a rain of petals. 3 of the 4 greatest ceremonies of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect have been brought out? Could it be that the sect masters of the Jin Wu religion, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, the Pharaoh Sect and the Green Lotus Sword Sect have personally come to visit? Nalan Fei stared at the void for a moment, a little surprised. 4 great ceremonies? Yes, of the 4 great ceremonies that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect uses to welcome guests, the last one is also the most honorable one, which is to welcome guests from 100 miles away. Often, when the deputy sect masters of the 10 great sacred sects come to visit, there will be 1 or 2 ceremonies, while sect masters will have 2 or 3. As for the 4 great ceremonies, only the sect master of the Limitless Sword Sect, the Qingkuan Sacred Land, the 6 Fiend God Paths and other forces will formally present a letter of greeting in person. Even the sect master of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect will travel 100 miles away from the welcoming peak to welcome guests at the gate of the 36 outermost peaks of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. To think that the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect has such etiquette. Why isn't there any etiquette for our Alliance Master's arrival? Even the person in the welcoming hall is only a little deputy hall master. Even the hall master did not personally appear. The Zhu Luo Divine Mother said in a dissatisfied voice when she heard Nalan Fei's words. Lord Zhenhai and the Moon Lake Lord also had the same expression. If the master was humiliated, the servant would die. Although Tsing Hui hadn't completely won their loyalty, as long as Tsing Hui didn't let them down, they would follow Tsing Hui. Xing Hui had officially visited the Hunyuan Heaven sect as the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance. The Hunyuan Heaven sect's reception naturally made Lord Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord and the Zhu Luo Divine Mother unhappy. It's just that our Life Moon Alliance doesn't deserve such a great ceremony in the eyes of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Xing Hui said indifferently. The foundation of the 10 great sacred sects was so deep that even the Green Lotus Sword sect, which was the weakest of the 10 great sacred sects, had 7 Vision Saint stage experts, including the sect master. In particular, the Green Lotus Sword sect had the Green Lotus Divine Sword. If the Great Elder Shenqin activated the Green Lotus Divine Sword with a secret technique and supplemented it with divine might, ordinary saint stage experts wouldn't be able to escape the fate of being killed. Its battle strength was comparable to a second-layer saint stage expert. If the Green Lotus Sword sect was already like this, there was no need to mention the other sacred sects that were even more powerful than the Green Lotus Sword sect. On the other hand, even though the Life Alliance had wiped out all the resistance forces in the sea recently, Qing Su was the only person in the alliance who was at the prominent saint realm. Even though King Zhenhai could contend against prominent Saint Realm experts for a short period of time, he was still no match for prominent Saint Realm experts once the Saint technique was used. He could only be counted as half a prominent Saint Realm expert. Moreover, the Life Alliance only had a dozen or so Blue Netherworld experts right now. Compared to the 10 sacred sects that had over 100 Blue Netherworld experts at once, the difference was huge. Therefore, even if he came personally, his status in the Hunyuan Heaven sect still couldn't compare to any of the 10 great sacred sects' deputy sect masters. Lord Xing Hui, don't take this matter to heart. Chapter 245. The Jin Wu Religion. Xing Hui was slightly taken aback. The Jin Wu religion and the Green Lotus Sword sect were the forces that Xing Hui planned to conquer. He would use either of these two forces to gain a foothold on the mainland and slowly expand. Just like overseas, he would constantly strengthen himself until he swept across the eastern wilderness and controlled it in his hands. He would then borrow the eastern wilderness cultivators to collect Dao vessel items for him. Of these two major sects, the Green Lotus Sword sect's most feared was the Green Lotus Divine Sword. However, Xing Hui had obtained the Green Lotus Divine Sword technique. As long as he cultivated the sword technique to the highest level, he might be able to surpass the current sword wielder, Shenqin, and use the Green Lotus Divine Sword technique to suppress the Green Lotus Divine Sword. The only problem was that he had spent most of his energy on cultivating the true Qi Void technique, and his mastery of the sword technique was still shallow. As for the Jin Wu religion, it was much stronger than the Green Lotus Sword sect. However, the Jin Wu religion's vitality had been greatly damaged by the Creation Mystical sect. In addition, Xing Hui had the Yang Devouring Pearl, a supreme treasure that was immune to all fire-type attacks below stage 6. With this treasure, he would have a unique advantage in conquering the Jin Wu religion. In fact, one day, he would be able to obtain enough Dao runes to exchange for the dazzling Sun Pearl from the sky. The Jin Wu religion, which relied on the eternal blazing sun, would be 80% less threatening. However, the Jin Wu religion was currently visiting the Hunyuan Heaven sect. If the two major sects were forced into an alliance by the Creation Mystical sect, firstly, the Jin Wu religion would gradually be able to resist the Creation Mystical sect's pressure and gain some time to breathe. Secondly, Xing Hui's Yang Devouring Pearl could not resist the Chaos Whole Sutra. Yu Xianchen, go and find out why the Jin Wu religion is visiting the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Yes. Yu Xianchen acknowledged and quickly left. Let me handle this matter. I am much more familiar with the sect's connections than you. Nalan Fei stepped forward. Xing Hui thought for a moment and nodded slightly. That's good. Thank you, Senior Sister Nalan. Xing Hui immediately returned to Qinglan Peak. More than a dozen palaces had been built on Qinglan Peak, one of which was specially allocated to the Zhuo family. In addition, Xing Hui himself was also allocated a palace. In the palace, there were subordinates, servants, and maids. There were probably no less than 100 people. This showed how much importance Nalan Fei attached to Xing Hui. Other than this palace, Naylan Fei had also set aside another palace for the other members of the Life League to stay in. Each of these palaces was quite spacious, and each palace could easily accommodate 300 to 500 people. The people Tsing Hui had brought with him this time were all cultivators who had no conflict with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. There weren't many of them, only about 200 people, enough for one palace. Not long after Tsing Hui entered the palace he lived in, a guard came to report, "Hall Master, Miss Yunqing is outside seeking an audience." "Oh." Tsing Hui nodded, "Let her in." The only person he paid attention to in the Zhuo family was Zhuo Yunqing. As for the rest, he didn't want to have too much interaction with them, so he didn't visit the Zhuo family's palace when he came to Qinglan Peak. "Brother, you're finally here." Soon, a joyful voice came from outside the door. Tsing Hui glanced back and happened to see Zhuo Yunqing, who had grown a lot compared to a few years ago. Seeing Zhuo Yunqing, Tsing Hui couldn't help but think of when he first came to this world. In order to help him, Zhuo Yunqing had fought Zhuo Fengyun and the others. Although she didn't seem to have helped much at that time, Tsing Hui could clearly feel her feelings for him. "I'm here. I was busy overseas and didn't have time to see you, but now that things have come to an end, and I've become the Hall Master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect Sea Calming Hall. In the future, I can go back and forth to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect all year round. That's great. This way, our family can see each other more often." A heartfelt smile appeared on Zhuo Yunqing's face. Tsing Hui's gaze couldn't help but fall on the people behind Zhuo Yunqing. Tsing Hui wasn't familiar with the others, but he recognized the leader at a glance. Zhuo Shuri. Beside Zhuo Shuri was a middle-aged woman who looked quite similar to Zhuo Yunqing. At this moment, Zhuo Shuri's gaze towards Qing Su was rather mixed. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman's eyes were filled with love. "Qing Su, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Don't go away again. Our family is reunited, and we can live happily every day." From the way she spoke, it wasn't difficult for Tsing Hui to guess that the middle-aged woman was the mother of Cho Tsing Hui's body. "What does a woman like you know?" Tsing Hui is now a man of great importance. It is said that he has been conferred the position of Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall by the respected sect master. He works for his aunt Naylan Fei, a figure more respected than the elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. It's rare that the sect master trusts him so much, so he naturally has to be cautious and conscientious to complete the tasks given by the sect master. Only then can he live up to the sect master's expectations. Zhuo Shuri reprimanded the middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman hurriedly corrected herself. Yes, the sect master's task is more important." Tsing Hui looked at the two, not knowing how to respond. He was indebted to Cho Tsing Hui's body and reincarnated, so he couldn't really turn a blind eye to his parents. After hesitating for a moment, he could only say, "I will try to return to Qinglan Peak as often as possible in the future." "Tsing Hui, don't listen to your mother's nonsense. What does she know? You have to prioritize the task given by the sect master. To be able to enter the Hunyuan Heaven sect and be valued by the respected sect master is the blessing of our Zhuo family. A few years ago, we didn't even dare to dream that you would have such achievements. Therefore, you must never relax or be careless. Once the sect master gives you a task, you must put in 120% of your effort to complete it." Zhuo Shuri said with good intentions. But it was clear that he didn't know what the relationship between Tsing Hui and the Hunyuan Heaven sect was. In his mind, the Hunyuan Heaven sect's true disciples all stood at the pinnacle, and the elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect were existences that he could only hope to reach. Even though he had lived in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for several years, his mentality still hadn't changed. Now that Tsing Hui had been entrusted with an important task by the sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect and had become the deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall, this was a great kindness. He naturally hoped that Tsing Hui could conscientiously complete the task given by the sect master and continue to stand out and bring glory to his ancestors. "I understand, I will handle the matters of the Sea Calming Hall properly," Tsing Hui said. "Qing Su, You need to think about yourself when you're not working for the sect master anymore. You're not young anymore, and you're the only male in your father's lineage. Moreover, you can be said to have made a name for yourself now, so shouldn't you consider getting married and having children to continue your lineage? Otherwise, if you don't have a successor in the future, wouldn't it benefit others? Do you have a girl you like now? I'll ask your aunt to speak for you. She's now an important person in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. If she comes forward, even the princesses of the kingdoms will be able to speak for you. Although the middle-aged woman was a little timid under Zhuo Shuri's reprimand, when it came to arranging a marriage for her son, she summoned the courage of a mother and took advantage of the fact that Xing Hui, Zhuo Yunqing and Zhuo Shuri were all present to speak of this matter. However, Xing Hui really didn't know how to respond to these words. His current status far exceeded the understanding of Zhuo Shuri and his wife, so much so that even the conversation between the two was no longer on the same level. Brother, I feel that you really need to consider this matter carefully. Father only has one son, and our bloodline is now only passed down to a single person. Although you have a great reputation outside, you have to take this matter to heart and settle it as soon as possible. Zhuo Yunqing chimed in when he heard his mother mention this matter. Yunqing, you should understand that the lifespan of a cultivator can't be judged by ordinary people's standards. It's not difficult for one to cultivate qi and live to 100 years old. When one reaches the spirit qi unification stage, one can precisely control the release of one's essence, qi, and spirit, and can live up to 200 or 300 years. Marriage isn't urgent for the time being. You can't be in a hurry. You're now successful and proud of yourself, so this is the best time to find a suitable woman. Otherwise, when you're older and your energy isn't as good as before, you may not be able to find a satisfactory person. Moreover, don't those large clans and great forces pay particular attention to strong alliances? Now that you're a big shot, shouldn't you find a girl with some power to form an alliance with you? This way, your future development will be smoother, and you may even become a true hall master in the future. Don't you think so, old master? The middle-aged woman turned her gaze to Zhuo Shuri, looking for reinforcements. Marriage isn't something that can't be considered. Why don't you talk to Nalan and ask her to help you contact the daughter of a great figure? With Xing Hui's current status, it's time for him to find a hallmaster's daughter. Xing Hui felt his entire body tremble when the middle-aged woman called him and he felt extremely uncomfortable. When he heard Zhuo Shuri's support, he hurriedly stopped her. I have my own plans for this matter. Moreover, I already have someone in my heart, so you two don't have to worry about it. Before Xing Hui could finish, the middle-aged woman immediately asked with a face full of joy, You have someone in your heart? Who is it? Where is she from? How old is she? What does she look like? Can she bear children? Is she well matched in terms of social status? Strictly speaking, our Zhuo family isn't considered a top-notch family. Everything we have today is all thanks to your aunt's support and your own hard work. Thus, we don't have any prejudice against family backgrounds. We won't force you to marry a woman from a powerful family either. The most important thing is that you like her. As long as you quickly bring her here for us to take a look, marry her if you're satisfied, and have a child to pass down the Zhuo family's bloodline, we'll be satisfied. Xing Hui was confused by the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions. He felt that talking to these two people was even more difficult than fighting with Creation Sect's Supreme Elder Xuanyangzi. However, he was indebted to Cho Xing Hui's body, so he couldn't just turn around and leave. Under the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions, the figures of several women appeared in his mind. Senior Sister Jiang Ningji, whom he had a promise to rely on Earth, and Sword Master Bai Heng, who was so powerful that he was stunned when he was weak, even, Nalan Fei, and even the Jin Wu religion Saintess Lai Wuyang flashed past his mind. This had nothing to do with love. At the end of the day, there were only a few women who left a deep impression in Xing Hui's heart. Other than these few, the rest were basically his subordinates who followed his orders. Under the middle-aged woman's barrage of questions, the figures that appeared in his mind were naturally these four women. Chapter 246. Who is it, and when will you bring her home for your parents to see? That's right, that's right. Brother, I can't wait to see who it is. Since you already have someone in mind, you should indeed bring her over. Who is she? Where is she from? Zhuo Shuri, his wife, and Zhuo Yunqing took turns to bombard him with questions. Of the four figures that flashed through Tsing Hui's mind, Naylan Fei was the first to be eliminated. If he said Naylan Fei's name, not only would it be against common sense, Naylan Fei would also not cooperate with him to fool Zhuo Shuri and the others. The only remaining person was Sword Master Bai Heng, who was high and mighty, and Jiang Ningji. She was on Earth. The only one left that could be used to fool Zhuo Shuri and his wife was Lai Wuyang. Lai Wuyang was the saintess of the Jin Wu religion and had a venerated status. Given Zhuo Shuri and the others' experience, they would naturally understand that the Zhuo family could not afford to associate with such a person. Even if they did continue to ask, Tsing Hui would only find it troublesome. Lai Wuyang was the only one of the four women that he could use against her. If they really had no choice but to meet, he could use her weakness to force her to cooperate. If she dared to disobey, he could directly capture her from the Jin Wu religion. She would have no choice but to cooperate. At most, he would have to spend more effort on the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art. Of course, this was the worst choice and could only be regarded as his last resort. In any case, Tsing Hui had already steeled his heart and would not easily meet Zhuo Shuri and his wife in the future. He did not have time to think about the various changes that might occur and directly said, "The woman I like is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, Lai Wuyang. Although I have some status now, compared to the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, I am far inferior. Therefore, I need to concentrate on the many matters sect master has given me. Only when I make great contributions time and time again and my status reaches the level of my Hunyuan Heaven sect's deputy sect master will I have the qualifications to meet Lai Wuyang." The Jin Wu religion's saintess Lai Wuyang. The Jin Wu religion is a huge force on the same level as our Hunyuan Heaven sect. The Jin Wu religion's saintess is the same as our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Lord Jiesu. They are both being groomed as future sect master. If Tsing Hui's goal is to become the Jin Wu religion's saintess, then you really need to work hard and make contributions. Just as Tsing Hui had guessed, Zhuo Shuri and his wife's imposing manner rapidly diminished, and a trace of worry appeared on their faces. No wonder Big Brother has never returned home all these years and wholeheartedly devoted himself to his career. It's because my future sister-in-law has such an amazing status. Big Brother, I believe that you will be able to take her down one day. Zhuo Yunqing immediately spoke words of encouragement. Although Zhuo Shuri and his wife wanted to persuade Tsing Hui not to set his sights so high, after hearing Zhuo Yunqing's words, Tsing Hui had worked hard all these years to raise his status to the point where he could propose marriage to the Jin Wu religion's saintess Lai Wuyang. It could be seen that Tsing Hui was deeply in love with Lai Wuyang. Zhuo Shuri did not want to discourage his son and only said, "Hard work pays off. Tsing Hui, I believe that you will one day succeed in fulfilling your wish." Yes, yes, yes. Our family's Su-er is not inferior to any young elite in the world. Tsing Hui breathed a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He immediately changed the topic and directed the fire onto Zhuo Yunqing. "Yunqing, you also need to pay more attention to your marriage. If you were in the Cloud Desolate City, you would have already started to have children at your age. My occasionally is my aunt. Now that my aunt is not married, how can I talk about this matter in advance? Brother, if you really want to talk about this matter, you should first convince my aunt. When my aunt is married, it won't be too late for me to look for my Mr. Right." Zhuo Yunqing was very shrewd. She directly used Naylan Fei as her shield. Moreover, with her words, the conversation had reached a point where there was nothing to talk about. Fortunately, at this time, a guard suddenly came in and cupped his hands. "Sir, the Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master, Lord Wen Hui, accompanied by the Guest Hall Master, Lin Yuan, has come to pay a visit." Wen Hui. When Xing Hui thought of Wen Hui, he immediately realized that he had a sword jade on him. The current him had already gathered the spirit essence core and dragon whisker root. He was only lacking a sword jade to refine the roaming dragon blood transformation powder. He immediately said impatiently, "Quickly, invite them in." With that, he turned to Zhuoshiri and the others. "Honored guests have arrived. I have to excuse myself. Yunqing, accompany the two elders to walk around. Brother, you have guests. Go quickly." The Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master and the Guest Hall Master are both important figures. Shuo Yunqing hurriedly said. Zhuoshiri also nodded. The Vice Sect Master was an important figure, even more important than the Hall Master, not to mention Xing Hui, the Vice Hall Master. Naturally, they would not stop him. After Xing Hui left, Shuo Yunqing said with some envy, "Brother has really become an important figure now. The woman he fancies is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. Now, even the Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master has come to pay him a visit." Zhuoshiri and his wife nodded in agreement. Originally, they thought that there was a huge gap between Xing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. However, the arrival of Wen Hui, the Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master, gave them a glimmer of hope. Since the Vice Sect Master of the 10 Great Sacred Sects was on good terms with her son, then marrying the saintess of the Jin Wu religion was not impossible. At that moment, Madame Zhua had an idea. "Master, why don't you talk to Sister Nalan and see if she has a way to matchmake Xing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion? So that Xing Hui won't suffer from the torment of lovesickness day and night? If this can be done, our Zhuo family will really have a meteoric rise and have the foundation to become a top family." Zhuoshiri hesitated for a moment and finally nodded vigorously. "Then I'll talk to Sister Nalan. However, I'm not sure if it can be done. Just give it a try. Our ability is limited, and we can only do our best." Shuo Yunqing quickly echoed. Auntie Nalan is not only a true disciple of a peak master, but also the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Her status is only one step lower than our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Vice Sect Master. With Auntie Nalan acting as a matchmaker, this matter is very promising. Let's go find Auntie Nalan." Vice Sect Master Wen, Hall Master Lin Yuan, sorry to keep you waiting. When Xing Hui came to the reception hall, Wen Hui and Lin Yuan were already sitting quietly, and the servants had already prepared tea and snacks. "I'm here to visit Temple Master Qing Su in my personal capacity and to congratulate the establishment of the Sea Calming Hall and Qinglan Peak. I'm not here for any other sect matters, so Temple Master Qilin can rest assured," Wen Hui said to Lin Yuan when he saw Qing Su arrive. His voice was rather helpless. Lin Yuan just smiled and cast his gaze on Xing Hui. "Hall Master Xing Hui, even if Vice Sect Master Wen is not here on behalf of the Green Lotus Sword Sect, he is still the most distinguished guest of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect. I will have to trouble you to entertain him during this period. The sect will bear all the expenses. Hall Master Lin Yuan, don't worry. I will definitely satisfy Vice Sect Master Wen." Xing Hui nodded to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not stay any longer and bid farewell to Wen Hui before turning to leave. After Lin Yuan left, Wen Hui said regretfully, "The Hunyuan Heaven Sect is really a little stingy. Alliance Master Xing Hui brought more than half of the Life Moon Alliance to join the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but the Hunyuan Heaven Sect only gave him the position of Vice Hall Master. If Alliance Master Xing Hui is willing to bring the Life Moon Alliance to join our Green Lotus Sword Sect, as long as he can prove that he has no disloyalty to our Green Lotus Sword Sect, there will be a place for Alliance Master Xing Hui among the Grand Elders of our Green Lotus Sword Sect." Grand Elders were the core of a sect and had the right to participate in all matters of the sect. Vice Sect Master Wen is too kind, but my main purpose of joining the Hunyuan Heaven Sect this time is to strengthen the reputation of my senior sister Nalan. Joining the Hunyuan Heaven Sect as a Vice Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall is just a convenient way to gain an identity. I believe Sect Master Zhua of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect also understands this. Wen Hui nodded. He was only inviting Xing Hui out of courtesy. The position of the sect's Grand Elder was decided by a vice sect master like him. If Alliance Master Tsing Hui still needs to find people to strengthen the reputation of Qinglan Peak, I know a lot of friends, such as Vice Sect Master Luo of the Jin Wu religion, Shakyamuni Yan Xian, Hall Master Wu Heng of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Hall Master Xiongzhan and others. There's no need, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Qinglan Peak's current reputation is enough. Ha! With the Life Moon Alliance protecting Qinglan Peak, who among the many Peak Master disciples in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect can stand shoulder to shoulder with Qinglan Peak? Tsing Hui smiled and waved his hand, dismissing the guard. Then, he went straight to the point. I don't know if Vice Sect Master Wen has brought the sword jade that I asked you to collect. How can I not take the task that Alliance Master Tsing Hui has entrusted to me? Wen Hui smiled and took out a piece of white jade that exuded a biting cold aura. Alliance Master Tsing Hui, please take a look. Tsing Hui took the sword jade and looked at it. He nodded with satisfaction. This is the sword jade. After that, he took out a lower level 6 armor and a lower level 6 divine weapon. Vice Sect Master Wen, please take a look. Of course I trust Alliance Master Tsing Hui. Wen Hui took the 2 divine weapons with a smile on his face. Although he said he trusted Zhou Donghuang, he still divided a part of his qi into the armor and divine weapon. When he confirmed that the armor were both level 6, the smile on his face widened. In the future, our 2 sides should get closer and exchange what we need. Of course, if there is any business in the future, I will definitely look for Vice Sect Master Wen first. Tsing Hui said with satisfaction. I am now the Vice Palace Master of the Suppressing Sea Palace, and can be regarded as half the Master of Qinglan Peak. Let me show Vice Sect Master Wen around. I will follow Alliance Master Tsing Hui's arrangement. Chapter 247. Li Hua Hall. In front of an alchemy furnace located in a side hall, Zhu Ri, dressed in a fiery red robe, was staring at the alchemy furnace. He had been refining this batch of flower saint pills for 3 whole months. During this period, he had failed no less than 100 times. Every time he was about to succeed, he would fail for various reasons, causing his patience to become worse and worse. If it wasn't for the fact that this batch of elixirs was related to whether he could pass the sex assessment and become a rank 5 alchemist, he would have already thrown the flower saint elixirs recipe to a corner and never touched this kind of elixir again. Huff. After a long time, a burning smell came out from the alchemy furnace. Zhu Ri, who had high hopes for this furnace of pills, was suddenly filled with disappointment and regret. He had no choice but to summon his attendants to clean up the alchemy room. He planned to go out for a breath of fresh air and relieve the depression in his heart. Elder Zhu Ri, have you finished refining the pill? You came just in time. Elder Zhu Ri had only walked around in his courtyard for a short while when a voice sounded. Immediately afterward, he saw the Lihua Hall's Deputy Hall Master, Yun Xing, and the Operation Hall's Deputy Hall Master, Lei Jing, walking towards the courtyard. Although the Lihua Hall was the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's alchemy hall, there were 5 or 6 similar alchemy halls in the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Coupled with the Alchemy Hall's palace, the Lihua Hall's position in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was inferior to the Operation Hall, which was in charge of personnel. Therefore, when he saw the Deputy Hall Master of the Operation Hall, Elder Zhu Ri hurriedly restrained the depression in his heart and quickly stepped forward to salute. Greetings, Hall Master Lei, Hall Master Yunxing, Hehe, Zhu Ri, during this period of time, you have been focusing on refining the flower saint pill. Aren't you a little too eager for success? Sometimes, refining pills is like comprehending divine arts. It requires 90% effort and 10% inspiration. In the past 3 months, we have seen the effort you have put in, but the hundreds of failures have proved that you are still lacking in the road to becoming a Tier 5 alchemist. What you lack is that inspiration. Therefore, there is no need to be too stubborn and put all your energy into refining pills. Sometimes, you can go out for a walk and do other things, such as refining some ordinary pills. Maybe that inspiration will come, and let you burst out the spark of inspiration to become a Tier 5 alchemist. Yun Xing said with a smile. Thank you for your teachings, Hall Master. I will remember it. Elder Zhuri replied respectfully with a bow. Although he could be awe-inspiring in front of ordinary disciples because of his status as an elder, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Yun Xing, a hall master whose alchemy skills had reached the upper 5th level and whose cultivation base had reached the late stage of the Green Hell realm. It just so happens that the Circulation Hall Master is here to send you to the Sea Calming Palace so that you can assist the Hall Master in refining some level 3 and level 4 pills. Refining these pills may not help your alchemy skills much, but if you continue to refine them, you might be able to catch a spark of inspiration and become a level 5 alchemist. When that time comes, there will definitely be a place for you in the Chamber of Commerce that my Firely Palace opens. Sea Calming Palace. Zhuri had been studying the refining of the Flower Saint pill for the past few months to break through the bottleneck to become a level 5 alchemist. Therefore, he didn't know much about the outside world. When he heard Elder Yun Xing mention it, he couldn't help but wonder, our Hunyuan Heaven sect has more than 140 palaces of various sizes. In the large palaces, there are more than a dozen deputy hall masters under the hall master. As for the small palaces, they are just empty shells. Although there are many palaces, I remember all of them in my heart without exception, but I have never heard of a Sea Calming Palace. It's reasonable that you haven't heard of the Sea Calming Palace since you've been studying alchemy. The Sea Calming Palace is a newly established palace by our sect master a month ago. It specializes in overseas affairs. Although the hall master of the Sea Calming Palace, Nalan Fei, is only a peak master disciple, her deputy hall master is extraordinary. At this time, the Sea Calming Palace has several Green Hell realm experts and dozens of spirit and chi unity experts. As for the hidden strength, it can be doubled. In our Hunyuan Heaven sect, the strength of the Sea Calming Palace can be ranked in the top 10. The hall master is actually Nalan Fei. Nalan Fei established a mountain and became a peak master disciple. Elder Zhuri's expression changed slightly. That's right. Hall Master Lei Jing smiled slightly. Although the matter between Elder Zhuri and Nalan Fei had caused quite a stir, other than the people in the circle like them, no one else paid much attention to it. Even Elder Zhuri's immediate superior, the master of the Falling Star Palace, did not inquire about it. After all, compared to the Lee Fire Palace's deputy palace master, the people he interacted with on a daily basis were all elders of the Spirit and Chi Unison realm or deputy palace masters of the Green Hell realm. At that time, Nalan Fei was only at the True Energy realm and was not worthy of his attention. It was precisely because he did not know the inside story that Elder Yun Xing agreed to Lei Jing's request for deputy palace master Lei Jing's transfer without hesitation. Wait a minute. The Sea Calming Palace is in charge of overseas affairs. Moreover, there are already several Green Hell realm experts and dozens of Spirit and Chi Unity experts. Could the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace be the Alliance Master of the Overseas Life Moon League, Cho Tsinghui? Lei Jing looked at Elder Zhuri and said with a smile, Elder Zhuri actually knows Hall Master Tsinghui. That's great. No wonder Hall Master Tsinghui asked me to transfer you to the Sea Calming Palace. The procedures have just been completed. Elder Zhuri, you can follow Hall Master Tsinghui to the Sea Calming Palace whenever you're ready. Cho Tsinghui, Elder Zhuri's face was filled with bitterness when he heard Lei Jing's words. He hurriedly said, Hall Master, can I not go to the Sea Calming Palace? Yun Xing looked at Elder Zhuri and said with a frown, You're the person that Hall Master Cho Tsinghui personally asked for. There's something you probably don't know. Hall Master Tsinghui has already subdued one of the two overlords of the Overseas Life Moon League, Lord Jinhai. The other overlord, the Blood Wyrm King, was also killed by him. Currently, almost all of the Overseas Life Moon League's islands are in his hands except for a few inappropriate islands. His current power is most likely second only to the Supreme Elders. What? The Blood Wyrm King was killed by him? Didn't the Blood Wyrm King fight with our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Supreme Elder back then and didn't fall into a disadvantageous position for more than 10 breaths? Later on, he even managed to escape unscathed from the pursuit of that Grand Elder. How did Zhuo Qingshu manage to kill such a person? Zhuri was both shocked and frightened when he heard this. It was precisely because he felt that Xing Hui's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds and had become extremely powerful that he tried to break through to the 5th stage of alchemy. As long as he became a 5th stage alchemist, his status was bound to climb to a whole new level. At that time, it would be much easier to deal with Xing Hui. But he never thought that after more than 3 months, when he was still far from advancing to the 5th stage of alchemy, Xing Hui would be strong enough to kill the Blood Wyrm King. Moreover, he was recruited by the Hunyuan Heaven sect and given the identity of a deputy hall master. The Sea Calming Palace killed the Blood Wyrm King. This matter made several supreme elders and even an ancestor in our sect very happy. They rewarded the Sea Calming Palace's hall master, Nalan Fei. It is said that she was even given a drop of Azure One blood essence. But everyone knows that although the credit for killing the Blood Wyrm King was given by the Sea Calming Palace, and the credit belongs to the Sea Calming Palace's hall master, Nalan Fei, in reality, the real person who killed the Blood Wyrm King is the deputy hall master, Chou Xing Hui. You must not neglect such a great person with a boundless future. Hall master. Elder Zhuri looked at Yun Xing and hesitated for a moment before he finally said, I have some conflicts with Hall Master Xing Hui. I'm afraid that when the time comes, Yun Xing's expression changed slightly when he heard Elder Zhuri's words. At this moment, he finally understood why Elder Zhuri was so hesitant when he learned that the deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Palace was Xing Hui. He immediately frowned and didn't know how to respond for a moment. On the other hand, Hall Master Lei Jing of the Operation Hall came to a sudden realization. He also felt that it was strange why Hall Master Xing Hui would specially request Elder Zhuri to be transferred to the Sea Calming Palace. Thinking of the powerful strength possessed by the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace and the terrifying potential power of the Life Alliance behind him, Lei Jing swept a glance at Zhuri, who hadn't broken through to the 5th stage of alchemy for a long time, and immediately came to a decision. Isn't it simple to have conflicts? Can't we take advantage of this opportunity to work under Hall Master Xing Hui to resolve it? Do you know what kind of person Hall Master Xing Hui is? If he continues to be loyal to our Hunyuan Heaven sect and makes some great contributions, he will have a high chance of entering the Supreme Elder Council in the future. Don't tell me that you, a 4th stage alchemist, plan to fight to the death with Hall Master Xing Hui? The words, Supreme Elder Council, clearly carried a lot of weight. The Falling Star Hall Master, who was still considering whether to protect Elder Zhuri, thought of Xing Hui's enormous potential and promptly said, Hall Master Lei Jing is right. You and Hall Master Xing Hui had conflicts in the past. Now that both of you belong to the upper echelons of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, wouldn't you be a laughingstock if you still harp on the grudges of the past? Just as Deputy Hall Master Lei Jing said, take advantage of the fact that Hall Master Xing Hui intends to borrow you to work under him. Apologize and seek forgiveness from Hall Master Xing Hui. Then, work hard under Hall Master Xing Hui, and perhaps you will be able to bury the hatchet. If Hall Master helps me, Chou Xing Hui will definitely not let this matter go so easily. Hall Master, please allow me to continue to stay in the distant fire hall and refine pills for you. Elder Zhuri immediately pleaded. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. I believe that if you express enough apology, Hall Master Xing Hui will definitely let you go. Don't tell me that a little elder like you needs Hall Master Xing Hui to personally come and resolve the grudges with you. Lei Jing, who was at the side, said indifferently. Falling Star also nodded. The weight of a hall master with a boundless future was obviously not something an elder with almost exhausted potential could compare to. Hall Master Lei Jing is right. Moreover, I have already given your file to Hall Master Lei Jing. Hall Master Lei Jing should have already sent it to the Operation Hall, right? Perhaps you are already a member of the Suppressing Sea Hall. That's right, that's right. I've already sent someone to deliver your file to the Sea Suppressing Hall. If you really don't want to stay in the Sea Suppressing Hall, you'll have to speak to Hall Master Narung and Hall Master Qing Su. Lei Jing immediately echoed. Elder Zhuri immediately felt a chill run down his spine when he heard the two hall masters abandoning him to curry favor with Tsing Hui. Elder Zhuri, generally speaking, you have to contact your superior in less than a month to report to your superior. Don't forget that our Hunyuan Heaven sect will punish those who don't follow the sect rules differently. If the hall master doesn't pursue the matter, you will only be fined 10 years of salary. If the hall master wants to pursue the matter, you will be treated as a traitor of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Therefore, it's best that you report to hall master Tsing Hui as soon as possible within a month. After Lei Jing finished speaking, he cupped his hands towards Yunxing and said, "Since I've finished my task, I won't stay any longer. I'll take my leave first. Hall Master Lei, if you have time, please visit our Li Fire Hall. If you have any extremely talented seedlings in the Tao of Alchemy, please take care of our Li Fire Hall and distribute them to our Li Fire Hall." Of course, of course. Chapter 248. Hall Master, you can't let me be seconded to Cho Tsing Hui. Please save me, Hall Master. After Hall Master Lei Jing left, Elder Zhuri could no longer care about his face as an elder and hurriedly begged the master of the Falling Star Palace. "Zhuri, I've already said that it's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. The grudge between you and Hall Master Tsing Hui must be resolved one day. Even if I can protect you now, I can't protect you forever. With Hall Master Tsing Hui's future potential, as long as he doesn't do anything harmful to our Hunyuan Heaven sect's interests, he will one day enter the Grand Elder Council. At that time, who can protect you? Therefore, listen to my advice. Go find Hall Master Tsing Hui, give him a gift, and reconcile with Hall Master Tsing Hui. Only then can you safely continue to serve under Hall Master Tsing Hui. That's all I have to say. As for whether you can listen to me, it's up to you." After Elder Yunxing finished speaking, he no longer spoke to Elder Zhuri. He turned around and left Elder Zhuri's courtyard, leaving Elder Zhuri alone in a state of panic. After a long while, he seemed to realize something. The culprit of this matter wasn't him, but Erishur Yudo. He immediately furiously roared at the door, men, where did everyone go?" "Elder," not long after, a true Qi realm deacon looked at the furious Elder Zhuri with fear and trepidation. "May I know what instructions Elder has for me?" "Where's Erishur Yudo?" "Where did Erishur Yudo go?" "That bitch, immediately capture her." "This, senior sister Erishur Yudo should be at the Chongguang Peak at this time," the deacon carefully replied. Chongguang Peak. When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he seemed to have thought of something. His face immediately turned pale. "How long has it been since that bitch came back?" "It should have been almost a month. She's been at Chongguang Peak for the past month. Furthermore, there are rumors that she's about to hold a wedding with Lord Bei Chonghua." When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he immediately gnashed his teeth. Bitch. That bitch. Now that you have a new backer, you actually cast me aside. Damn it, you deserve to die 1,000 times over. If it was just a spirit-refining true disciple, Bei Zhonghua, it wouldn't be enough to make Elder Zhuri so angry and unwilling. However, Bei Zhonghua's elder brother was someone he couldn't afford to offend. Even ordinary grand elders wouldn't want to offend such a big shot. That was Bei Zhongguang, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Bei Zhongguang. If Jia Su hadn't appeared, Bei Zhongguang would have definitely taken over the sect master's position in a few decades. Even if Jia Su had broken through to the Qingming stage and displayed unprecedented cultivation potential, it wasn't completely certain that he would take over the sect master's position. Bei Zhongguang's potential still gave him the qualifications to challenge the sect master's position. Damn it. If I could hand over this bitch to appease Hall Master Tsing Hui's anger and compensate him with a large sum of money, there would still be a glimmer of hope. But now, Elder Zhuri was so anxious that his hair turned white. Think of a way. I must think of a way as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I fall into Cho Tsing Hui's hands, only death will await me. No, It might even be more miserable than death. While Elder Juri was panicking because of Tsing Hui's words, Erisher Yudo sat in the courtyard's little garden on Chongguang Peak with a worried look on her face. At this moment, a handsome man in white clothes walked over from behind her. His gaze paused on Erisher Yudo for a moment, and when he saw her worried look, he immediately said with pity, "Yutong, are you still worried about the matter of the sea-suppressing palace's hall master?" "Brother Chonghua," Erisher Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with the same gentle look in her eyes, "I really don't want to make things difficult for you and Brother Chonghua because of the sea-suppressing palace's hall master. How about I just go to the sea-suppressing palace's hall master and apologize to him?" Back then, when the sea-suppressing palace's hall master was in the cloud-desolate city, he relied on his identity as the eldest son of the Zhuo family's patriarch to bully me several times. I thought of all sorts of ways to hypocritically compromise with him and barely managed to keep my chastity. If I really beg for forgiveness and give myself to him, he might not continue to pursue the matter. Yutong. What are you talking about? Before Erisher Yudo could finish speaking, she was sternly interrupted by Bei Chonghua. Although I, Bei Chonghua, am not some great person, I'm not someone who can't even protect my own woman. When encountering a problem, I have to make my woman beg for mercy. Don't worry, although the sea-suppressing palace's deputy hall master has some status and ability, our Bei family is not to be trifled with. I'll go find my brother. My brother is the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master and the person closest to the sect master's throne. As long as my brother is willing to speak up, even if you give Cho Tsing Hui 100 guts, he won't dare to find trouble with you. Erisher Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with a pitiful look, but, won't this be too troublesome for Big Brother? Big Brother is the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master, and there's a strong competitor like Jiasu. If there's a new problem because of the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace, I'm afraid. You also said that the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace is just a small deputy hall master. Given my brother's status, he may not even pay attention to him. Those who chat and laugh with my brother are often hall masters or even grand elders. What does a deputy hall master count for? My brother and I have a very deep relationship. If I really speak up and plead with him, he definitely won't refuse. Bei Chonghua said righteously. I think, forget it. I'll go beg the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace for mercy, Erisher Yudo said with a sorrowful look. I know the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace very well. He has been sinister and cunning since he was young, and he will definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if Big Brother is willing to come forward and take responsibility for this matter, he will definitely not let it go. At most, he will reconcile on the surface, but he will definitely do all kinds of little tricks to deal with Big Brother. This will definitely bring Big Brother endless trouble, he dares. A cold light flashed in Bei Chonghua's eyes. I asked my brother to resolve this grudge with him as the deputy sect master, which is giving him face. If he still dares to deal with us, Big Brother and I will let him understand the true power of a deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Then I'm relieved. Erisher Yudo breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Bei Chonghua had finally expressed his stance. What Bei Chonghua didn't notice was that when he said that he would deal with Cho Tsing Hui, Erisher Yudo's eyes flashed viciously. Qinglan Peak. Tsing Hui was in a good mood after obtaining the formula for the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was different from ordinary medicinal pills. It could only be regarded as a prescription. As long as one followed the appropriate steps and matched enough auxiliary herbs, it could be refined. The difficulty of obtaining the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was lower than the difficulty of obtaining the Zhulong fortune pill. After returning to Qinglan Peak, Tsing Hui immediately asked people to prepare the medicine furnace and other things. After a torturous process, it took him half a day to successfully refine the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. Looking at the blood-red medicine in his hand, Tsing Hui had a faint smile on his face. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. With this medicine, I can already try to separate a drop of the Zhulong blood and begin to refine it. However, for safety's sake, and to avoid wastage, I will wait until I reach the small success stage of the qi into virtual qi before proceeding. After all, a portion of the Zhulong blood is only 10 drops, and the more I waste, the less there will be. Xinghui thought to himself and could not wait to once again devote his energy to the cultivation of the qi into virtual qi into virtual qi. Some time ago, the painstaking meditation had already given him a new understanding of the qi into virtual qi, but for some reason, he was always a little short, causing him to be unable to truly understand the qi into virtual qi and push it to the small success stage. He glanced at his character model. There were still 30 days before the level of chaos would be upgraded again. In these 30 days, if he still could not upgrade the qi into virtual qi to the small success stage, then he could only upgrade his comprehension to the 6th level. The effect of comprehension was the best at the moment when it reached the 6th level. All kinds of inspiration would burst out in the mind, and relying on that flash of inspiration, he would be able to smoothly improve the qi into virtual qi. However, there was still some time before this matter, so he would not mention it for the time being. Xinghui ended his cultivation and left the cultivation room. As soon as he came out of the cultivation room, a guard immediately came forward to respectfully salute. Palace Master, Senior Sister Nalan sent a message to invite Palace Master Xinghui to the study when you are free. She has something to discuss with you. Oh. A day had already passed since Qing Su refined the roaming dragon powder of blood transformation and studied the method to convert true qi into illusions. The founding peak meeting was right before him, so when he heard Nalan Fei summon him, he did not waste any more time and directly made his way to Nalan Fei's study. Xinghui, you're here. Please take a seat. Is it about the summit assembly? The preparations for the founding peak assembly are almost done. Besides, with you, the leader of the Life Alliance, and Wen Hui, the deputy leader of the Green Lotus Sword sect, the scale of the founding peak assembly is so high that more than 90% of the peak masters have set up a peak. There's no need to make it a big deal. The main purpose of the summit assembly is to publicize your power and the potential behind you so that others won't dare to act rashly. It will also pave the way for you to compete for the deputy sect master position in the future. There is no harm in holding a special event. Nalan Fei shook her head and hesitated for a moment before saying, Xinghui, I invited you here for 2 things. The first is an invitation from our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's deputy sect master Bei Chongguang. He is holding a banquet in the Hunyuan Heaven Pavilion and wants to invite you over. The time will be tomorrow night. Bei Chongguang, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Why is he inviting me over? He didn't say. He probably values your Life League's potential and wants to recruit you. Bei Chongguang has great influence in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, so I suggest you go. Nalan Fei changed her words again. Of course, if you have something to do and don't feel the need to go, that's fine too. Xinghui didn't take Bei Chongguang to heart. So what if he was the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? He had lived overseas for a long time and was far away. Even the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sect master, Zhuo Kunlun, might not be able to control him, let alone Bei Chongguang. However, considering that Nalan Fei had been staying in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and needed some allies, and Bei Chongguang was obviously a strong ally to her, he nodded slightly. I will go tomorrow. Okay. A smile appeared on Nalan Fei's face, and she seemed to be in a much better mood. However, when she thought of the second matter, she suddenly felt a headache. What's wrong? Nalan Fei hesitated for a long time before she slowly asked, Xinghui, I heard from Yunqing that you and the Jin Wu religion saintess, Lai Wuyang, are in love with each other and seem to have deep feelings for her, is that true? Chapter 249. Xinghui, I heard from Yunqing that you and the Jin Wu religion's holy maiden, Lai Wuyang, are in love with each other and seem to be deeply in love with her. Is this true? Nalan Fei slowly said. The Jin Wu religion's holy maiden, Lai Wuyang. Xinghui was slightly taken aback. Could it be that Zhuo Yunqing wanted to ask Nailan Fei to go to the Jin Wu religion to ask for her hand in marriage? He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Senior Sister Nailan, I know what you want to say. This is my personal matter and I don't need you to interfere too much. I will find a way to solve it myself." When Nailan Fei heard Xing Hui's words, she immediately understood that Zhuo Yunqing's words were true. She could not help but hesitate for a moment. "Do you know who is the leader of the Jin Wu religion's envoys that came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect today? Could it be Lai Wuyang?" "It is Lai Wuyang." Lai Wuyang came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Xing Hui was somewhat surprised. After a moment, he seemed to think of something. "If my information is correct, she should have already cultivated to the spirit and chi stage. She is indeed at the spirit and chi stage. Moreover, she has been appointed as the Jin Wu religion's vice-sect master and is ranked first." As Nailan Fei spoke, she stared at Xing Hui and said, "You should understand what I mean, right? First vice-sect master." Xing Hui's face immediately lit up with joy. "That's great. I didn't expect her to become the Jin Wu religion's first vice-sect master. If nothing unexpected happens, won't she be a candidate for the Jin Wu religion's sect master in the future?" "It's pretty close." As Nailan Fei spoke, she hesitantly looked at Xing Hui. She really did not know how to tell Xing Hui that the Jin Wu religion's Lai Wuyang had come to the Hunyuan Heaven sect to marry Jiesu. Xing Hui was a young talent that she had watched grow up. He was also the most outstanding talent in the Zhuo family. He was young, but he had already become the alliance leader of the Life Alliance. He was a famous young talent in the entire Eastern Wilderness. It was true that he had great achievements, but he was still young. Being young meant that he was impulsive. If he were to learn of this news, he would fly into a rage and get into a conflict with the saint of the Jiesu sect. The consequences were unimaginable. Nailan Fei was worried that Xing Hui would not be able to accept the blow of the marriage between Lai Wuyang and Jiesu, while Xing Hui's mind quickly became active. Unity of spirit and qi. The first vice-sect leader. After reaching the unity of spirit and qi, it should not be difficult to ask the sect for the 5th level of the Great Sun Golden Crow art. In addition, she was now the first deputy sect master. The Hunyuan Heaven sect would very likely pass on the 5th and 6th levels to her in one go. Although the eternal blazing sun refining method of the Great Sun Golden Crow art required one to reach the 6th level of the longevity stage, some extremely talented people could refine it at the Green Netherworld stage. Therefore, it was very likely that the 2 levels would be completed in one go. The Chasing Sun Sutra was indeed difficult to cultivate. Even if he had obtained the Torch Dragon blood, he was only confident that he could cultivate it to the peak of the Green Netherworld stage. He still did not have full confidence in the Prominent Saint stage, but the Great Sun Golden Crow art was different. If he could obtain the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art in one go, thinking of this, Xing Hui said bluntly, "How long will the Jin Wu religion visit the Hunyuan Heaven sect last? Which experts will be accompanying them?" Nailan Fei glanced at Xing Hui. Although she was a little worried that Xing Hui would not be able to accept this blow and do something impulsive, she still replied, "The Jin Wu religion has specially sent a Grand Elder, a Deputy Sect Master, and 4 Law Emperor experts to visit the Hunyuan Heaven sect. However, due to the enormous pressure the Jin Wu religion is currently facing, the sect's Grand Elder obviously cannot stay in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for long. I estimate that they will return in 3 to 5 days." "Oh." Xing Hui's eyes brightened slightly. A Grand Elder, a Deputy Sect Master, and 4 Law Emperor experts, with the power he had with him, it was not impossible to devour them. Very good. Nailan Fei's heart sank when she saw Xing Hui's happy expression. From the looks of it, Xing Hui's feelings for Nailan Fei were truly deep. He was so happy even after hearing news of Lai Wuyang. For a time, she could only plan to go to Lai Wuyang's place and discuss this matter with him. Although she understood that even if she discussed this matter with Lai Wuyang, it would be very difficult for him to change the outcome of the marriage between the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion. However, looking at Xing Hui in front of her, she would not be satisfied if she did not try. A day quickly passed by. On the afternoon of the second day, Xing Hui personally appeared in the Tianji Pavilion at the invitation of Deputy Sect Master Chong Guang. The Tianji Pavilion was located on one of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's 36 peaks. It could be considered one of the best buildings in the 36 peaks. Whether it was the wine or spirit fruits it provided, it was of extremely high quality. Unless one reached the awakening stage or had sufficient wealth, one would not have the qualifications to enter the Tianji Pavilion. Xing Hui stepped into the Tianji Pavilion. At this time, the Tianji Pavilion was still very lively. In addition to the elegantly decorated hall, there were also many private rooms. Not to mention the private rooms, the cultivators sitting in the booths in the hall were all at least in the awakening stage. Many of them were even at the true qi stage or the spirit refining stage. This kind of cultivation level was already enough to get a good deacon seat in the Hunyuan Heaven sect and could be considered to have some authority. But even such people did not have the qualifications to enter a private room. From this, one could see how high the Tianji Pavilion was. Just as Xing Hui entered the Tianji Pavilion, a service staff immediately came up to welcome him. "Senior brother, do you have an appointment?" Deputy Sect Master Bei Chong Guang asked me to discuss something here. "So, it's Hall Master Xing Hui. Sorry for the disrespect. The Deputy Sect Master has already instructed that if Hall Master Xing Hui comes, you should go to the Divine Grade Room 1. I will ask our front floor master to lead you there." As the waiter spoke, he bowed respectfully and gestured with his hand, leading the way in front. Guests like Xing Hui, who was a Deputy Hall Master, were extremely rare in the Tianji Pavilion. Not to mention, this Deputy Hall Master was a guest of the most powerful Deputy Sect Master in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. A small front desk staff like him naturally did not have the qualifications to receive him. The two walked towards the Tianji Pavilion for a while, and a middle-aged woman full of mature charm came out to welcome them. She said apologetically, "I did not know that Hall Master Xing Hui would be coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Our House Master and Deputy Sect Master Bei are already waiting for you in the Divine Grade Room 1. Hall Master Xing Hui, please." The middle-aged woman's cultivation was extraordinary. She was already at the peak of the spirit refining realm and had hopes of stepping into the spirit qi unity realm to become an elder. She had specially come downstairs to welcome Xing Hui, which naturally caused a small commotion in the crowd. However, Xing Hui did not pay attention to them. Under the middle-aged woman's lead, he directly arrived at the Divine Grade Room 1. Although it was only a private room, it actually took up an entire floor of the Tianji Pavilion's 28th floor. Moreover, it was the best 26th floor. Not only was it extremely large, but it was also filled with a large number of flowers and trees. It was also decorated with a large number of sun and moonlight stones. Walking inside was like walking into a garden of flowers. It was very pleasing to the eye. At this moment, there were already 6 people seated in the Divine Grade Room 1. One of them was naturally the Tianji Pavilion's house master, an elder at the Spirit Qi Unity stage. The other few people were all extraordinary without exception. However, the moment Xing Hui stepped into the Divine Grade Room 1, his gaze fell on a woman whose demeanor was even more elegant than before. Erasure Yudo. After not seeing her for several years, Erasure Yudo had already reached the true Qi stage. Her skin, demeanor, and appearance had undergone a huge transformation from inside out. She looked even more lovely and pure. Even in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, where beauties were as common as clouds, she could be considered one of the best. In particular, her slightly aggrieved appearance would cause others to have a strong impulse to protect her and involuntarily kneel before her. While Xing Hui was looking at Erasure Yudo's gaze also landed on Xing Hui. In addition to her somewhat hidden expression of fear, there was also a sliver of pride hidden in the depths of her eyes. "Hall Master Xing Hui, I've long heard of your great name. Please take a seat." Seeing Xing Hui's gaze turn cold as he stared at Erasure Yudo, Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master, Bei Chongguang, frowned. However, he still stood up and gestured to the seat in front of him. Xing Hui swept a glance over Bei Chongguang. When he saw Bei Chongguang holding hands with Erisher Yudo, he more or less guessed what was going on. His attitude immediately turned cold. There's no need for that. May I know why Deputy Sect Master Bei Chongguang has invited me here? Seeing Xing Hui's attitude, the expression of a peak Qingming stage man beside Bei Chongguang immediately changed. He unhappily said, "Cho Xing Hui, you're just a deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Even if you have the Life Alliance backing you, you're in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. How can you not give face to our deputy sect master Bei Chongguang when he invites you to speak? Calm down, Hall Master Ping Yang." Bei Chongguang waved his hand at the peak Qingming stage man. Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding that has caused Hall Master Xing Hui to be a little unhappy. However, as our ancestor said, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Right now, Hall Master Xing Hui, like junior sister Erisher Yudo, is a part of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Even if there is a conflict between us, it should not continue. Otherwise, wouldn't the higher-ups and disciples of the Hunyuan Heaven sect become a joke if news of this spread? I've invited Hall Master Xing Hui to this banquet in the hope that Hall Master Xing Hui and junior sister Erisher Yudo can bury the hatchet and reconcile. Bury the hatchet? Xing Hui's hatred for Erisher Yudo was not because she had cheated him of his Hunyuan Heaven sect inner disciple token, but because she had unhesitatingly ordered Yuan Yang to kill him after learning that he could threaten her position. That day, if it weren't for his recovery characteristics and his fist strength, he would have died at the hands of Yuan Yang, a blood transformation stage cultivator. His gaze immediately fell on Bei Chongguang. Vice Sect Master Bei Chongguang, you want to protect Erisher Yudo. Then, have you understood what happened? It's just that Yutong stole one of your inner sect disciple tokens. You're already a hall master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, so why are you still harping on such a small matter? If you want compensation, I'll give you 8 or 10 tokens. Don't tell me you want to use your status as a deputy hall master to oppress others. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect is not your cloud desolate city. You can't rely on your authority to abuse your power. Bei Chonghua interrupted in dissatisfaction when he saw that Xing Hui was still unwilling to let the matter go even though he had asked his elder brother to step in. Finally, Bei Zhongguang's calm face turned cold as he said, "It seems that Palace Master Xing Hui won't give up until you have your revenge? Since I've already stepped forward on behalf of junior sister Yutong, yet you're still so unwilling to yield. Where is my face?" Face? Xing Hui looked at Bei Zhongguang. Then, is Deputy Sect Master Bei Zhongguang's face more important, or is my life, a Deputy Palace Master, more important? Life? Bei Zhongguang sneered. Deputy Palace Master Xing Hui, although you have established a great force like the Life Moon Alliance overseas and have countless experts under your command, you are gravely mistaken if you think that no one can control you just because you're far away overseas. In front of a real big shot, what is the Life Moon Alliance in your hands? Back then, you and junior sister Yutong were lucky enough to preserve your life during the conflict. However, if you still refuse to realize your error, disregard my well-intentioned advice, and insist on pursuing this matter to the end, at that time, it would be unknown whether you would be able to preserve your life. As he spoke, Bei Zhongguang slowly took out a wine pot and poured a cup of wine into a cup on the table. Now, I can give you 2 choices. The first choice is to drink this cup of wine. From now on, the grudges between you two will be resolved. I, Bei Zhongguang, will treat you as a friend. If there's any good news, I'll definitely share it with you, Palace Master Xing Hui. Bei Zhongguang didn't continue. But everyone present could understand what it meant if Xing Hui didn't drink it. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was extremely stagnant. Xing Hui glanced at the indifferent Bei Zhongguang, then at Bei Zhonghua, who looked unmoved, and at Erisher Yudo, who still looked pitiful and aggrieved. Finally, his eyes fell on the cup of wine on the table. After a moment, he stretched out his hand, held the wine cup, and slowly lifted it up. Seeing this scene, Bei Chonghua's eyes revealed a trace of a sneer. Lan Yutong's aggrieved mouth also hung a trace of contempt. Bei Chongguang, on the other hand, leaned back slightly with a calm smile on his face, as if everything was under his control. He had a reason to be unhurried. One was his childhood enemy, and the other was the vice sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, one of the 10 great sacred sections. He believed that anyone would know what to do to make the right choice. Even if Qing Su controlled a colossus like the Life League overseas and had more than a dozen Blue Netherworld Realm experts and over 100 Unity of Spirit Realm experts under his command, it was no exception to the fact that his forces were stronger than the forces he displayed on the surface. Don't forget, the Life Moon Alliance was just a rootless duckweed. Once it grew stronger, it would affect the balance of the 10 great sacred sects overseas and was bound to attract a thunderous blow from the 10 great sacred sections. This was also the reason why the Life Moon Alliance immediately wanted to cling to the Hunyuan Heaven sect and become a part of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Once the Hunyuan Heaven sect abandoned them, what awaited them would be a thunderous blow from the 10 great sacred sections. At that time, the entire Life Moon Alliance would be destroyed. Even Xing Hui, the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance, would most likely die. A smart choice. Just when Bei Zhongguang saw Xing Hui raise his wine cup and thought that victory was in his hands, Xing Hui's right hand suddenly let go of the wine cup. Losing his grip, the exquisite porcelain wine cup suddenly fell from the air and smashed to the ground. Pa! The sound of the wine cup shattering clearly reverberated in the divine grade number 1 box. Along with it, the precious spirit wine splashed with water. This scene immediately made the expressions of Bei Chonghua, Lan Yutong, and Bei Chongguang, who were sneering, contemptuous, and confident that everything was under their control, freeze at the same time. The Palace Master of the Tranquil Sun Hall and the Palace Master of the Splendid Palace, as well as the Pavilion Master of the Tianji Pavilion, were similarly stunned. Looking at the wine cup that fell to the ground and the wine that splashed to the ground, even if everyone's reaction was slow, they still reacted immediately. The negotiation had failed. There was a big problem. This is my choice, Vice Sect Master Bei, are you satisfied? Xing Hui looked at Bei Zhongguang with a faint coldness in his eyes. Vice Sect Master Bei only considered your face and the consequences of offending you, Bei Zhongguang. Then, Bei Zhongguang, have you thought about what fate awaits you after offending me, Xing Hui? After he finished speaking, he did not say anything more to Bei Zhongguang. He did not even look at his enemy, Erishur Yudo, as he directly turned around and stepped out of the divine grade number 1 box. Impudent. Seeing Xing Hui turn around and leave, Bei Zhonghua, who only reacted after a while, flew into a rage. Bastard, how dare you speak to my brother with such an attitude and tone? Sit down. Bei Zhongguang shouted in a low voice as he stared coldly at Xing Hui, who had just walked out of the divine grade number 1 box. No one knew what he was thinking. Sect Master, this Chode Xing Hui really doesn't know what's good for him. Sect Master kindly invited him to the banquet and wanted to bury the hatchet with him. You've already shown him a very good attitude, but he thinks that he has a great influence overseas and dares to disregard Sect Master. He's really arrogant. I really don't know how such a junior who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth agreed to open a hall for him and let him become the Vice Hall Master of the Sea-Suppressing Palace. Seeing Bei Zhongguang's expression, Pingyang Hall Master pretended to be angry and said, he's just a mere Vice Hall Master. He's not even a Hall Master yet he dares to be so arrogant. Once he becomes the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace, wouldn't he climb over all of our heads? Bei Zhonghua was also filled with righteous indignation. He only knew that Xing Hui was the Vice Hall Master of the Sea-Suppressing Palace and guessed that he was probably an expert of the Green Netherworld realm, but he didn't know what kind of terrible power Xing Hui had overseas. However, Bei Zhongguang had a good relationship with his younger brother. In addition, he personally felt that although the Life League was powerful, it was just an attic in the sky. As long as he found its weak point, he could defeat it with one blow. Therefore, he only felt that it was troublesome to provoke such an enemy because of Bei Zhonghua, but he didn't really see him as a big trouble. He had always only had one big trouble, and that was the Holy Son, Jiasu. Big brother. It's all my fault. If I hadn't offended him back then, you wouldn't have lost face today and let him be so arrogant in front of you. Erasure Yuto stepped forward and bowed softly. Well, since it has already happened, there's no point in saying anything else. Although Cho Tsing-hui is a threat, it's not to the extent that he can shake me. I'll take this grudge. It won't be long before he knows the consequences of offending me. You just need to live a good life with Zhonghua from now on. Bei Zhongguang said, his expression slightly cold, and warned, and put away your little thoughts. Erasure Yuto's heart trembled, but she still quickly lowered her head. Big brother, don't worry. I'll definitely follow brother Zhonghua in the future, and live a good life with him. Well, drink and eat. Don't ruin our interests because of the Vice Hall Master of the Sea-Suppressing Palace. Bei Zhongguang nodded. Some of Erasure Yuto's thoughts could not be hidden from his eyes. However, this Erasure Yuto's talent was not bad. At such a young age, she had already cultivated qi, and it was Saint Qi. In addition, Zhonghua really liked her, so Bei Zhongguang didn't reprimand her too much. He greeted everyone and quickly started eating, as if he didn't take Tsing Hui's matter to heart. This scene made the head of the fecta parlor, who was worried that Tsing Hui and Bei Zhongguang would fight in the fecta parlor, heave a sigh of relief. Chapter 251. Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Sacred Guest Hall. It was a hall dedicated to hosting the leaders of the 10 great sacred sects. At this moment, a figure walked out of the hall. It was the new peak master disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Qinglan Peak Master Nailan Fei. However, even though Nailan Fei had left the hall, she clearly still hadn't completely returned to her senses. Her brows were tightly knit together as she considered her attitude when she mentioned green ruins to Lai Wuyang earlier. Her reaction. Wasn't it a little too intense? Could it be that the relationship between Tsing Hui and Lai Wuyang was not unrequited love on the part of Tsing Hui, but a mutual affection between the two? If this was the case, Tsing Hui might not be without hope. With concern for Tsing Hui's marriage, Nailan Fei returned to Qinglan Peak. A day passed by just like that. The next morning, Qinglan Peak finally ushered in the crucial moment of the Peak Establishment Assembly. Early in the morning, the entire Qinglan Peak was already filled with gongs and drums. They were fully prepared to welcome the guests who were about to visit. The entire Qinglan Peak was filled with colorful flags that fluttered in the wind. It looked very festive. Princess Lan Yu and the others had long sought refuge with Nailan Fei's forces, the Nailan family's forces, and some small sections. In groups of 3 to 5, they filled Qinglan Peak, causing it to be bustling with people and carriages. Not long after, a sword light flew from the void and landed on the Qinglan Peak's welcoming square. It was the deputy sect master of the Green Lotus Sword sect, Wen Hui. Although Wen Hui came because of Tsing Hui's face, Nailan Fei, as the peak master, immediately welcomed Wen Hui into Qinglan Peak and arranged a seat for him. Not long after Wen Hui's arrival, an elder of the Spirit Qi Unity stage represented the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sect master, Zhuo Kunlun, to present a congratulatory silk banner. However, this kind of silk banner was actually given to every peak master by Zhuo Kunlun when they established their peak. Although everyone on Qinglan Peak was excited, they did not lose their composure. From the very beginning, it was the Deputy Lord and the Messenger of the Lord. Such a good start made the people on Qinglan Peak look forward to the upcoming guests. Princess Lan Yu, Zhuo Yunqing, and the others were gathered together, trying to figure out what kind of important guests would come today. But obviously, it was too early for them to rejoice. With the arrival of these two people, Qinglan Peak suddenly became deserted. For half the morning, not a single guest came to congratulate them. Not only that, as the actual auspicious day of the founding peak assembly approached, although some true disciples who were on good terms with Nailan Fei came to congratulate her, they didn't come in person. Instead, they sent their subordinates and followers to present some congratulatory gifts. Most of them were just small fries. The whole morning was quiet and could only be described as desolate. Everyone on Qinglan Peak could feel that something was wrong. Even the ordinary people, subordinates, and disciples on Qinglan Peak who did not know what was going on were whispering to each other, discussing if something had happened. In the reception hall of Qinglan Peak, Nayland Fei glanced at the time and faintly couldn't sit still. At this time, another man of the blood-changing stage came to congratulate her with a gift from a true disciple. She couldn't help but ask in a joking tone, "Didn't junior sister Peony say that she would definitely come today to congratulate me? I wonder what has delayed you. If there are any difficulties, you may as well tell me. If I can help you, I will not refuse." This senior sister Peony is really delayed by something and can't come in person to congratulate senior sister Nayland. I hope senior sister Nayland can forgive me. The man of the blood-changing stage bowed deeply, his attitude was extremely humble. Seeing him like this, Nayland Fei couldn't say anything. She could only say, "Take a seat." I'm really sorry senior sister, I have to go back and report to senior sister Peony. Nayland Fei immediately waved her hand and said no more. Xing Hui, who was also sitting in the main guest seat, looked at the large banquet and wine that had been prepared, but now it seemed quite empty. He vaguely guessed something, but he still couldn't believe it. After a while, Jing Yun, who had inquired about the news from outside, carefully came to Xing Hui and Nayland Fei's side, and whispered, "Senior sister, Palace Master Xing Hui, I have inquired clearly. The disciples who originally wanted to come to our Qinglan Peak to congratulate us suddenly changed their itinerary because of an important person's words. They did not dare to come again." Important person? Which important person? I have been in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for so many years, and except for some grudges with the Sky Yuan Peak Master, I have not offended anyone. How could I be targeted by some important person? Nayland Fei was a little puzzled. "It's Beisheng Guang, right?" Xing Hui asked. Jing Yun was taken aback for a moment, and then nodded solemnly. "It is Beisheng Guang." Beisheng Guang. Nayland Fei seemed to have thought of something, and her expression changed slightly. She turned to Xing Hui and asked, "Was it something that happened last night?" Erishur Yudo curried favor with Beisheng Guang's younger brother, Beisheng Hua. She wanted to use Beisheng Guang's face to reconcile with me, but the negotiations fell through. Xing Hui explained briefly. Erishur Yudo, that woman, has some ability, but does she think that we can't do anything to her just because she has Beisheng Guang's support? Too naive. However, as the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, how could Beisheng Guang be so ignorant? How could he offend Xing Hui for a mere Erishur Yudo? Does he not know the power behind the Sea Calming Hall? Although the power behind the Sea Calming Hall isn't weak, Beisheng Guang might not care about it. Perhaps in his eyes, the Life Moon Alliance is trying to curry favor with the Hunyuan Heaven sect to avoid being attacked by the other sects because of the Life Moon Alliance's strength. We should be the ones begging the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Qing Su's lips curled into a sneer. Lord Blood Dragon's Hall of Blood River and Lord Jinhai's Divine Court of Jinhai had failed to gain the support of the 10 saint sects after they had developed to a certain scale. Thus, they had been attacked by the experts sent by the saint sects. In the eyes of most people in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Life Moon Alliance was similar to the Divine Sea Court and the Hall of Blood. At best, they were slightly stronger than the other two. Moreover, their alliance master was smarter and knew how to curry favor with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Because of this, the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven sect felt a sense of superiority when they looked at the Life Moon Alliance. But, how could they know the Life Moon Alliance's true trump card? If the 10 great sects really dared to send experts overseas to deal with the Life Moon Alliance like they did to the Hall of Blood and the Divine Sea Court, the level 9 Saint Beast Haiyu living in the Life Moon Alliance's territory would teach them how to behave. Xing Hui, since this matter is related to Beisheng Guang, we can't treat it lightly. Beisheng Guang is the most promising deputy sect master and is ranked first among the many deputy sect masters. Even if his position as the future sect master has been severely challenged with the rise of Jiesu, the forces he built up with the help of the reputation of the future sect master can't be underestimated. Jiesu has already reached the Qingming stage, so why hasn't the Hunyuan Heaven sect announced him as the next sect master? It's because the power in Beisheng Guang's hands is too strong. The sect master is worried that rashly announcing Jie Su's appointment will cause dissatisfaction with Beisheng Guang and lead to internal strife in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Beisheng Guang has such a force. Xing Hui was a little surprised. Absolutely. There are even rumors that Beisheng Guang may have a Vision Saint stage expert under his command. Back then, when the competition between Beisheng Guang and a deputy sect master was at its fiercest, a conflict broke out. But when both sides were about to suffer, the deputy sect master suddenly died. The Hunyuan Heaven sect investigated and found that a Vision Saint stage expert killed him. Although the Hunyuan Heaven sect didn't have any evidence and couldn't easily punish Beisheng Guang became the biggest beneficiary at that time. It was by perfectly annexing the deputy sect master's forces that he soared into the sky and became the most promising deputy sect master to ascend the throne. Xing Hui nodded. If the peak master disciples of the Hunyuan Heaven sect didn't have the support of important figures, how could they climb to the position of deputy sect master? Being able to become the first deputy sect master was itself a proof of ability. If Xing Hui underestimated these deputy sect masters because of their apparent power, it would be a big mistake. Fortunately, Xing Hui, your Sea Calming Hall is a little special. It is directly under the jurisdiction of the sect master, and even the supreme elders have to convene an elders meeting if they want to mobilize your Sea Calming Hall. Therefore, before Beisheng Guang has something on you, he can't do anything to you, but you have to be careful in the future. I spend most of my time overseas. If Beisheng Guang dares to go overseas to find trouble, I will let him know whose territory it is. But you. Xing Hui glanced at the rather empty Qinglan Peak and said apologetically, because of me, I've brought you trouble. It's nothing. Nalan Fei smiled. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Right now, because of Beisheng Guang's words, these so-called friends have all avoided me. If something really happens in the future, how can I rely on them? Let me see their faces as soon as possible, so that I can understand who I can be close to and who I can't be close to, and avoid greater losses in the future. Xing Hui nodded, his expression a little gloomy. If Beisheng Guang directly came for him, he wouldn't mind. After all, the two sides were ready for a conflict, but Beisheng Guang didn't deal with him, and instead targeted Nalan Fei. This made him secretly angry. First Deputy Sect Master. If I tear off your identity as the first Deputy Sect Master, I'd like to see if you can still have such a huge influence. Xing Hui glanced at Nalan Fei. Since Beisheng Guang dared to involve Nalan Fei in dealing with him, then, the matter of stripping Beisheng Guang of his identity as the first Deputy Sect Master would be done by Nalan Fei. Don't worry, Beisheng Guang, he won't be proud for long. Chapter 252. Qinglan Peak had been preparing for a long time. The Grand Peak Founding Assembly had ended with a strong start and a weak finish under the interference of Beisheng Guang, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. With such a result, everyone on Qinglan Peak was naturally worried, and their worry for the future was written all over their faces. Even Nalan Fei was a little depressed. When Xing Hui saw this scene, his dissatisfaction with Beisheng Guang grew even more. Beisheng Guang. I haven't had the time to deal with you, but you've already played these little tricks. Do you really think I can't do anything to you just because you're the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect? Xing Hui's eyes flashed coldly. If Beisheng Guang had protected Erasure Yudo, he was only dissatisfied with him and didn't have any intention of taking action, but Beisheng Guang's actions had already made Xing Hui want to kill him. Xing Hui, don't take it to heart. In fact, with the addition of the Life Moon Alliance, the power of Qinglan Peak is already stronger than ordinary Peak Master disciples. As long as we continue to maintain this momentum, I believe that one day our Qinglan Peak will become the first peak of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Nalan Fei saw the strange look on Tsing Hui's face and comforted him. She was really afraid that Tsing Hui would act impulsively and rashly attack Bei Zhongguang. If Tsing Hui was injured because of this, she would feel guilty for the rest of her life. Senior Sister Nalan, don't worry, I understand. He has the identity of the deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Before I have enough confidence, or before I'm strong enough to ignore the attitude of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, I won't easily attack him and put myself in danger. Tsing Hui, the inland is different from the overseas. In the overseas world, the strong are respected. If anyone offends you, you can send troops to attack them, and no one can control you. But the inland is a society governed by law. In particular, sects like the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the other 10 great sacred sects completely rely on the rules and regulations of the sect. Let alone peak master disciples and hall master elders, even the supreme elders of the Hall of Elders have to act according to the sect rules. Otherwise, the entire sect won't be able to operate normally. Senior Sister Nalan, you don't have to worry about me. I know what to do. As Tsing Hui spoke, he turned to Nalan Fei and said, although Bei Zhongguang can order elders and even hall masters around, you are a peak master disciple, and he can't order you around. However, to be safe, you should focus on cultivation for the next period of time. Don't go out easily. I will leave Lord Jinhai on Qinglan Peak. Even if you have to go on a long journey, remember to bring Lord Jinhai with you. With him by your side, your safety will be slightly guaranteed. There's no need. Although the Life Moon Alliance has wiped out most of the overseas forces, there are still many forces outside the rule of the Life Moon Alliance. Moreover, these forces have the support of some sacred sects, so it won't be easy to wipe them out. Therefore, it's better for Lord Jinhai to continue to follow you and fight for you. As for my safety, you don't have to worry at all. After I completed the Blood Dragon King's reward, I was summoned by a saint stage ancestor of the Hunyuan Heaven sect and was given a drop of Azure Phoenix Blood Essence. I will focus on refining this drop of Azure Phoenix Blood Essence and hope to take a step forward in the spirit and chi unification stage. I'm afraid I won't be able to leave the Hunyuan Heaven sect for 3 to 5 months. Oh. Tsing Hui was relieved to hear that Nalan Fei was going to train in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but after a moment of silence, he still said, Lord Jinhai will stay with you. If you really encounter a danger that even I can't deal with, there's no difference whether he's here or not. Seeing Tsing Hui's resolute attitude, Nalan Fei had no choice but to agree, I don't need you to protect me. Tsing Hui smiled and didn't say much. Instead, he said to Lord Jinhai, in a few days, you'll come with me to do something. After you're done, you can stay on Qinglan Peak. If there's anything, you can contact me in the Chaos Temple. Yes, I'll follow the Alliance Master's arrangement. Lord Jinhai inferred from Tsing Hui's attitude that Nalan Fei seemed to be very important to him, so he was very concerned about this task. Then, that's it. Tsing Hui said. At this moment, Wen Hui also came up and said with a smile, Alliance Master Tsing Hui, the Hunyuan Heaven sect is a big sect, but they don't know how to judge people. One of the deputy sect masters even pressured you many times. I don't think it's a good idea to stay in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Why don't you come to our Green Lotus Sword sect? Every sect has its own internal strife. Besides, Bei Zhongguang can act like a tyrant in the Hunyuan Heaven sect because of his identity as the first deputy sect master. When he comes to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, do you think I won't have the means to deal with him? Wen Hui couldn't help laughing when he heard Tsing Hui's words. I forgot that Alliance Master Tsing Hui is not a weakling. Bei Zhongguang should be the one who should be careful. Tsing Hui glanced at Wen Hui. He should know that Bei Zhongguang still had hidden forces, but he didn't point it out. Instead, he hinted that his forces were superior to Bei Zhongguang's. He probably didn't have any good intentions. But he didn't care about this. Wen Hui was just a chess piece he placed in the Green Lotus Sword sect, and it wasn't time to use him yet. He had some restless thoughts in his heart, but he didn't care. Alliance Master Tsing Hui, I'll take my leave first. I hope that Alliance Master Tsinghui can come to our Green Lotus Sword sect if you have time. I, Wen Hui, will definitely welcome you with open arms. Sect Master Wen Hui is too polite. If there is a chance, I will definitely visit. Goodbye. Wen Hui nodded, then cupped his hands in salute. The next moment, he had already leapt up and was flying on his sword. In the blink of an eye, he was flying in the direction of the guest hall. As the deputy sect master of the Green Lotus Sword sect, even if he came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect in a private capacity, he still had to say a few words to the Hunyuan Heaven sect to make up for the formalities. Deputy sect master Wen of the Green Lotus Sword sect looks good. Unfortunately, the Green Lotus Sword sect has been weak for a long time, and its influence can't be compared with the other sacred sections. Otherwise, if a deputy sect master like him came to our Hunyuan Heaven sect, we would have hosted a banquet for him. Tsinghui, when did you and deputy sect master Wen meet? Naylan Fei asked with a smile as she watched Wen Hui disappear into the clouds. He looks good. Tsinghui's expression was a little strange when he heard her evaluation. After a while, he said, I don't think you want to know how Deputy Sect Master Wen Hui and I met. Is that so? Naylan Fei saw that Tsinghui didn't want to say anything, so she didn't force him. I'm going to arrange some trivial matters. I won't entertain you. You don't have to treat me like an outsider on Qinglan Peak. I understand. You can go. As Tsinghui spoke, he swept a glance at the somewhat deserted Qinglan Peak Summit Assembly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He then turned around and headed back to his palace. King Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord, the Zhu Luo Goddess and the others followed closely behind. Alliance Leader, do you want me to keep an eye on Bei Zhongguang? Once he leaves the Hunyuan Heaven sect, we will immediately make a move and teach him an unforgettable lesson. King Zhenhai carefully observed Tsinghui's expression and suggested with murderous intent. Those who dared to wander overseas were not easy to deal with. Each of the people in front of him had killed more than one true disciple of the 10 great sacred sects, and some had even killed elders of the 10 great sacred sects. Killing a deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect wouldn't be a big deal. There's no need. It's too easy to just kill him. Didn't Bei Zhongguang want to use his power as the deputy sect master to oppress others? Then we will cut off his power one by one. Yu Xianchen, Zhou Shao, the two of you don't have to return to the Life Alliance with me. Each of you will lead a team and investigate the forces under Bei Zhongguang. I want to know if he still has the guts to speak in front of me after I destroy all his forces. Yes. Yu Xianchen and Zhou Shao respectfully accepted the order. Tsinghui returned to his cultivation room and continued to devote his energy to the cultivation of the Jinqi Void technique. At the same time, he adjusted his essence, qi, and spirit to prepare for the consumption of the torch dragon blood. Time flew by, and 4 days had passed. Early in the morning, the Zhu Luo goddess quickly appeared outside Tsinghui's cultivation room. She didn't care that the door wasn't open yet and transmitted a message inside. Alliance Leader, the people from the Jin Wu religion that you asked me to pay attention to have made a move. It seems that they plan to leave today. Not long after her voice entered the cultivation room, the door opened. Immediately summon King Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord and Ten Sha of Gojoseon to see me. Yes. The Zhu Luo goddess answered and left. When Tsinghui returned to the meeting hall after cleaning himself, King Zhenhai and the others were already waiting there. Alliance Leader. Tsinghui nodded and looked at Zhou Shao. I remember that you seem to have the art of disguise. How is it? Although there are some changes in my art of disguise, those green netherworld realm experts who are very sensitive to the qi of heaven and earth can still detect the abnormality. Only the abnormality. Can't identify the real body. Yes. Okay, immediately help us change our appearances. Although Zhou Shao didn't know what Tsinghui wanted to do, he still did as he was told. After changing their appearance, the appearance of the 5 of them changed quite a bit. If it was someone close to them, they would be able to sense that something was wrong. Even a green hell realm expert would be able to sense that something was wrong. However, ordinary people would not be able to see through it. Xing Hui silently left the Hunyuan Heaven sect with the others and headed straight for the Sky Burial Forest, which was thousands of kilometers away from the Hunyuan Heaven sect. They quickly set up an ambush. Alliance leader, are we going to attack the people of the Jin Wu religion? The Zhu Luo goddess remembered that Xing Hui had asked her to pay attention to the movements of the Jin Wu religion during this period of time and immediately guessed what was going on. That's right. Although the Jin Wu religion has sent many experts this time, the strongest are only deputy sect masters and Dharmaraja level existences. The few of you, delay these Dharmaraja and deputy sect masters for me. I will quickly take action and capture the Jin Wu religion's holy maiden alive. Yes. Although the few of them didn't know what grudges Xing Hui had with the Jin Wu religion's holy maiden, they immediately agreed. Okay, don't talk too much. The Jin Wu religion's people are here. As Xing Hui spoke, his gaze was already fixed on the edge of the void. There, the giant battleship belonging to the Jin Wu religion was whistling through the wind and waves. I've finally added this chapter, even though it's already past 12. I've made everyone wait for so long. Today's outburst was almost all done on Sunday. It's close to 20,000 words, and my head is a little dizzy. Chengfen is allowed to rest and sleep. Everyone should also rest early and recover your energy tomorrow. We'll continue our outburst the day after tomorrow. Outburst, outburst, outburst. Guaranteed outburst every week. Never stop. Chapter 253. Get ready. Xing Hui bellowed as he looked at the giant warship in the void. Lord Zhenhai, Goddess Zhu Luo, Ten Sha of Gojoseon, and the Moon Lake Lord, the fearless Qing Ming realm experts also grew nervous. Although they were extremely daring and had killed true disciples and even elders of the 10 great sacred sects more than once, it was basically because their own safety was threatened and they had no choice but to fight back to protect themselves. Today, they had taken the initiative to ambush the Jin Wu religion's high-level warship, and the target was Saintess Lai Wuyang, who had already been confirmed as the Jin Wu religion's deputy sect master. This was absolutely unprecedented. Even for all the forces in the entire Ocean Islands, this was unprecedented. The deputy sect master was a core member of the sect and had the right to directly participate in the sect's decision-making. Ambushing such a powerful expert was tantamount to declaring war on the entire Jin Wu religion. Thinking of the possible consequences of this matter, the four people couldn't help but tremble in fear. After the trembling, they felt a kind of excitement and madness from the bottom of their hearts. It was impossible for cowards to survive in the Ocean Islands. Since Alliance Master Xing Hui dared to lead them to ambush the Jin Wu religion's team, they dared to kill them. Buzz buzz. Thousands of meters in the air, the Jin Wu religion's warship braved the wind and waves as it rapidly moved forward. Its speed reached 300 to 400 kilometers per hour, but because it was in the void, it was difficult to see clearly. Attack! Destroy the warship first. Seeing how the battleship was about to whistle over their heads, Qing Su bellowed out and used a saint technique. His sword rose into the air, and a streak of light that could cleave apart the world appeared, shooting into the clouds. The sword light whistled through the air, and there seemed to be a lofty and mysterious figure of a huge dragon within the sword light. It radiated with a scorching presence as it ripped through space. Who dares to block my Jin Wu religion's warship? How dare you attack our Hunyuan Heaven sect's distinguished guests in our territory? You're courting death. As Xing Hui's sword qi pierced through the void, several powerful and terrifying auras rose at the same time, stirring up the wind and clouds and causing the yuan qi within a radius of several thousand meters to become chaotic. What shocked Xing Hui was that among the terrifying auras emitted from the warship, 2 of them had completely surpassed the limit of the Qing Ming realm and had reached the Vision Divine stage. Yuan He, Qin Zhen. Supreme Elders. Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Moreover, there were 2 Supreme Elders. However, the shock brought by the 2 Hunyuan Heaven sect Grand Elders only lasted for a moment before Qing Su forcibly suppressed it. Supreme Elders? So what if they were two Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect? Back when he was at the Spirit Chi Unite stage, he had been able to briefly exchange blows with Creation Evolution sect's Supreme Elder Xuanyangzi with the help of a Grade 6 divine weapon and survive a Vision divine strike. Now, not only had he broken through to the Qing Ming realm, the divine weapon in his hand, the armor on his body, and the flying sword under his feet had all reached Grade 9. With these weapons, Xing Hui even dared to fight the two Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Shatter! His battle intent surged as Xing Hui roared. The dazzling sword chi that shot into the sky released a resonant dragon's roar. Wherever the sword light passed, the void shattered, and the yuan chi in its path was completely torn apart by the sword chi. This vacuum caused the yuan chi in other areas to flow backwards, causing the sword's momentum to be vast and mighty. It left an abyss-like sword scar in the void. Wind rose and clouds swirled. Suppress. Boundary stone. When the two great elders, Yuan He and Qin Zhen, saw how the Qing Su's attack had caused such a disturbance, they could no longer care about their numbers. They basically struck out at the same time, and an energy as lofty as a mountain with a crushing pressure collided heavily with the Qing Su's streak of light that seemed like it wanted to rip the sky to pieces. Suddenly, streams of light shot out. Mighty Yuan Qi formed a circle of ripples in the void that could be seen with the naked eye. It frantically swept out in all directions, tearing apart the Yuan Qi and clouds within a radius of several thousand meters. However, the two great elders were still in a hurry. They were not prepared enough. Even though they worked together to suppress Qing Su's strand of Scarlet Yang Sword Qi, as the space trembled and the clouds were ripped apart, the suppressive energy they created dispersed in half a second. The sword Qi that had been reduced by half erupted once again, shooting into the clouds. The chilling sharpness enveloped everyone on the entire battleship in a single instance. Not good. Retreat. The two Supreme Elders, Yuan He and Qin Zhen, roared and acted at the same time. They took several important figures of the Jin Wu religion and soared into the sky. Almost as soon as they soared into the void, the sword Qi that tore apart the suppressive Yuan Qi formed by the two Supreme Elders had already cut through the large warship that was rampaging through the void. The terrifying sword Qi wantonly whistled, and the large warship, which was not inferior to a 6th-level low-grade divine-grade warship, was instantly pierced through. The terrifying sword light entered the bottom of the warship and then shuttled through the deck, bringing with it countless fragments and planks as it soared into the sky. More than 10 experts of the Jin Wu religion who happened to be in the range of the sword light were swept up by the aftershock of the sword light and turned into a bloody mist on the spot. Among them, there was even an elder of the spirit and Qi unification realm. Bastard! Seeing the Jin Wu religion warship that he was protecting being pierced through by Xing Hui's sword Qi, Qin Zhen flew into a rage. Divine manifestation. Rumble. A terrifying aura suddenly rolled out from her body, and a huge shadow of a heavenly rock appeared in the void, making a loud and clear cry. For a moment, the void seemed to be solidified by a terrifying force that was as majestic as a mountain. Xing Hui's speed, which had soared into the sky and was about to completely destroy the warship, suddenly slowed down. Heavenly Rock Sacred Body. Xing Hui's eyes widened. Heavenly Rock, the bloodline of a sacred beast. Qin Zhen in front of him had actually manifested the Heavenly Rock Sacred Body. Wasn't that? Fortunately, Xing Hui carefully stared at the shadow of the heavenly rock for a moment and breathed a sigh of relief. Although Qin Zhen had manifested the celestial Peng sacred body, it was obviously not solid enough. It was estimated that although she had cultivated the holy grade celestial Peng Gang Qi, she had failed at the sacred body. However, with the help of some special treasure, the failed celestial Peng sacred body was born, and it was close to the power of the celestial Peng sacred body. Although it was a pseudo-heavenly rock sacred body that had been condensed with the help of external forces, Xing Hui did not dare to underestimate it. Qin Zhen was an expert of the middle stage of the prominent divine realm. Coupled with the power of the pseudo-heavenly rock sacred body, it was enough to contend with an expert of the late stage of the prominent divine realm. Now that the sacred body had manifested, the heavenly rock carried the power of space, which had already made him feel as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Heavenly rock soared wings. With the appearance of the heavenly rock sacred body, the power of Qin Jin's body erupted to an unprecedented level. In addition, she had activated the innate killing move of the heavenly rock sacred body. The wings of the manifested heavenly rock sacred body flapped, and the feathers in the wings actually turned into divine swords that tore through the void. They whistled and flew toward Xing Hui, whose speed had been affected. The sharpness of each divine sword made Xing Hui feel a chill down his spine. Open for me. Seeing these heavenly rock sword wings that were shot out by the heavenly rock sword wings were about to strangle him, Xing Hui let out a low roar. The fire of the heavenly rock sacred body erupted, brazenly tearing apart the power of the heavenly rock sacred body to control the void. His figure whistled and soared into the sky. Why does he want to kill us? Elder Qin Jin's heavenly Peng Saint physique is famous in the prominent saint stage. The person in front of us can block Elder Qin Jin's attack without using the power of the prominent saint stage. He's definitely not a nobody. Could it be a saint stage ancestor from the Gate of Good Fortune? The Jin Wu religion's deputy sect master, Luo Rieo, had an ugly expression as he stared at the figure fighting Qin Jin. This person has obviously changed his appearance and is hiding his head and tail. I think he's most likely from the Creation Mystical Sect. Besides the Creation Mystical Sect, I can't think of any other force that can send such an expert. They've obviously received news that we want to form a marriage alliance with the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and they're not willing to leave us any chance of survival. Another Jin Wu religion's Law King said angrily. Compared to the other Jin Wu religion's anger, Lai Wuyang's expression was a little strange. Her starry eyes stared fixedly at the figure who was fighting fiercely with Elder Qin Ran. For some reason, she faintly felt a familiar aura from that figure, but she couldn't recall it for a while. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.